800-430-9571. 800-430-9571. 800-430-9571. That's 800-430-9571.
Don't miss Lorena McKennitt, an evening of music and stories on Friday, March 25th at 8 p.m. for one performance only at the Holt Center for the Performing Arts in Eugene.
It was down by the sunny gardens.
Lorena McKennitt is joined on stage by her longtime collaborators Brian Hughes and Caroline Lavelle. For tickets, call or stop into the Holt Center ticket office or buy online anytime at holtcenter.org.
Gunrunner Arms is celebrating 3 years of business in Junction City, supplying local residents with firearms and related products. February 27th, help Gunrunners celebrate and meet reps from Nikon. Enter a raffle to win a $250 gift card from Gunrunners, courtesy of the Oregon Firearms Federation. Also, you can donate your lightly used items for the annual Mid-Valley Habitat for Humanity yard sale. Plus, Liberty Safes are on sale. Nikon optics are 10% off, and Mountain House Foods are 20% sale price. Sale items limited to stock on hand. Gunrunner Arms at the intersection of Highway 99 and 36 in Junction City.
Who doesn't want a shiny new electronic device? Sure, back home there's a garage or a basement full of old electronics that we don't talk about. But old electronics aren't garbage, and they're not useless. They're full of parts and materials that can be recycled into new electronics or donated to some wonderful causes. That flip phone and old computer can still live on. Recycling electronics is the green thing to do. It's the right thing to do, and it's so easy. Log on to greenergadgets.org and enter your zip code to find the recycling center nearest you.
Yeah, that's the sounds of us strumming our guitar, sitting on the edge of the bed. That's me. Thinking about a great night's sleep as I strum my guitar. I'm not a fan of this music, Ben, I just have to say. And I've said this before, I'm just not a fan of it.
Can we talk about the client?
Yeah, we can talk about Sleep Train. They're great. Actually, I'd like to give them a hug, because courtesy of them, I've been getting better night's sleep for, going on about 3 years now, something like that. I have a Tempur-Pedic. It's a Cloud Luxe, to be exact. It has the adjustable base. I like it a lot. It has improved a lot of different things. Besides my sleep, and also because I have, this lower back issue I've been dealing with for a while. It's nice on days when that starts getting kind of sore, then I'm able to do a little adjustment to the head of the bed, a little bit under the knees, and the next thing you know, it's off to sleep, and I'm waking up the next morning with a back that doesn't hurt. That is an important thing. If you are one of those folks that deals with chronic neck, back pain, so on and so forth, you might ask your doc, would an adjustable base help this? And if they say yes, head to Sleep Train and find out how you can be sleeping better and relatively more pain-free tonight.
Best Rest sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Sleep Train in Eugene, Springfield, Corvallis, and Salem. And tell them you like this with the Wake Up Call. They really are a ticket to a better night's rest. The best rest. Sleep Train.
See a problem on the commute? Be an official KPNW Wake Up Call Road Ranger today. Call 541-344-2424 and report it. Dakota Ring and Road Ranger Cape and Sombrero sold separately. The Road Ranger Network, exclusively on 1120 KPNW.
News Radio 1120 KPNW. Coming up, we have a guy who has written a book called How to Pay Zero Taxes. So we're going to maybe find out how to pay zero taxes, and potentially legally.
The first thing that Rob said when I walked into the room, I want to pay zero taxes. Oh.
And you're like, oh? No.
Okay.
Well, don't you?
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, if I can legally get
you say
away
that like
with it.
That's like an outlandish request.
Well, no, it was just kind of surprising. Usually there's a hello or something, and it was
There's
just
never a hello.
Random.
There's never a hello. Okay. There's never warm pleasantries in this relationship. Anyway, Jeff
that's right.
Schnepper, going to maybe get some tax tips your way. I'm trying to figure out where I want to go between the two. Well, now, this is probably more entertaining of the two. The police in Shropshire, England, got a call to rescue a cute otter. And so,
Nice.
being the great folks of Shropshire, they ran out there to rescue the aforementioned injured otter, only to find out that it was a fake fur collar when they got out there. And the fact that there's even a photo, the fact that this is making national news, I mean, great. I think it's very edifying for the department there in England. But the fact that it's kind of traveled the world, it says a lot, doesn't it?
No. It says nothing.
The fact that we're talking about
I-
a fake fur collar being rescued? Oh, yeah, you're...
Well, what does it say to you? You say it says something. What does it say? Tell me what it means.
Well,
what is the greater...
We love our cute, cuddly animals.
We love our fur collars.
And we, maybe had a slow news day. And I think it's great. It's, like I said, very edifying for the, they're getting some great press. The other story that I read and I thought, this is getting talk as well. There's a dentist also in England that has said that we are brushing our teeth wrong.
I was going to say, the news, I think there really has nothing to do with brushing teeth or anything else. It has to do with the fact that in Britain, they actually have a dentist. That right there is the news. I think that probably surprises a lot of people. What? They have a dentist there?
The whole thing is that we're
island?
brushing our teeth wrong. And so I thought, okay, this is going to be enterprising. This is going to be incredible, like earth-shattering, news. And his suggestion is something that we already do in our house, and that's floss first and then brush. Apparently, he is under the assumption that everybody brushes and then flosses.
See, I've always heard from dentists that you brush first, then floss because it moves the stuff that's between your teeth down when you're doing the brushing, dislodging it easier, and that if you've got a bunch of stuff between your teeth and you floss first, then what it does is it just shoves it up under your gums.
Well, he's talking about the fact that there's part... What a great breakfast chat.
Yeah, so you're shoving stuff up under your gums.
If you're in the nook, we apologize, but he's talking about removing plaque and food debris and dislodging it, and then you need to brush it and send it on its merry way,
Maybe
which
we need
the brush did.
Maybe we need to call Representative Cedric Hayden and see what he says.
And why would that be?
Because he's a dentist.
Oh, there you go. Not everybody is familiar with him since he's not in our neck of the woods.
No, he's not that far from here. What, Cresswell, Cottage Grove, something like that? He's not that far away.
Should we just continue on with our tribute to...
what, dentist talk?
No, to England.
Sure. I mean, you got another English story that's hanging there?
Not just yet, but by the way, our email address, 1120kpnw@gmail.com. No ridiculous and any other thing that's going on here in the state of Oregon.
No, nothing ridiculous is going on.
Nothing to see here.
No, the legislature, of course, continues on with its cram down, ram down. We're going to be talking about that in the 7 o'clock hour. In particular, a couple of issues on that, and it is amazing to me that this idea of the lodging tax. It is so. I mean, are people so blind as to not be able to see what really is going on with that, and how it is cronyism at its finest? It's almost to the point here in Oregon where we don't even try to hide it anymore. That it's like, well, yeah, it's corrupt, whatever, sure. Well, we'll own it now. All right, so Tracktown USA, which, by the way, is backed with, by Nike owner Phil Knight. Originally, this whole World Championships in 2021, they wanted, $25-30 million to do whatever they're doing to make the area proper for the World Championships. And originally, the governor and the legislators and everybody else said, we're not spending the money on it. Then Phil Knight started making phone calls, and then everybody changed their mind. Oh, well, this is a good idea. Well, yeah, maybe we need to put some money forward for it. And then Governor Kitzhaber came out and said, I will ensure that this will happen. Okay, so how are they doing? Well, Crackdown went to the legislature and said, we've got a great way you can do this. Raise the lodging tax here in Oregon. Just raise the tax. It'll be fine. Give us the $25-30 million. It'll be easy. Well, legislators, and in particular the governor, looked at that and went, that looks kind of stinky on the outside, so let's do this. Let's have Travel Oregon decide where the money will go. We'll back the lodging tax. We're all for it. We're good with that. We'll back that. We'll back the lodging and increase in the Oregon lodging. We'll go with that. And we'll let Travel Oregon decide where the money goes. We'll let them figure it out. Now, Travel Oregon has done nothing but award tiny grants for marketing. And when I say tiny, we're talking about, okay, they're going to be giving $25 million to somebody like Wheel of Fortune, or more like Jeopardy. They're going to be giving away $25 million. No, it's not like Jeopardy. It's more like, I'll get back to you on that. Anyway, they're going to be giving away $25 million. Before this, they're giving away tiny grants of $20,000, $30,000. Right now, they're going to be awarding $25 million to some lucky group. And who do you think that lucky group is going to be? Keep in mind, Travel Oregon and its governing board is made up of political appointees, appointed by, who would it be? Oh, yeah, Governor Brown, whom, incidentally, and not connected to the story at all, has already come out and said she really wants the money to go to Tracktown and the 2021 World Championships to be held in Eugene. She really wants it to go there. But Travel Oregon is going to make the independent decision where it's going to go. So there's no cronyism that's going on there. Not at all. Yeah, okay, if you say so. So anyway, welcome to Oregon. And the way we, remember they used to have the license plate, things look different here. Actually, it should be, welcome to Oregon, things smell different here. Is Jeff on the line? We have Jeff Schnepper joining us on the Wake Up Call this morning. He is the author of the bestseller, How to Pay Zero Taxes. He's a former associate economics editor at USA Today. And actually, it says here, Jeff, that you are an Esquire. Congratulations.
All it means is I went through law school and survived.
Well, congratulations, Jeff Schnepper, Esquire.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for joining us on the Wake Up Call this morning. So really, you can pay zero taxes. The first question there is that legal?
Is it legal? Absolutely. Do I want you to pay zero taxes? Absolutely not. I want you to pay millions in taxes. Because if you're paying millions in taxes, you're keeping multi-millions. But I don't want you to pay a single penny more than the law requires. And that really is the problem here, Bill. Nobody understands the law. Our tax code has had major changes, literally 50 major changes in the last 52 years. The code itself is a disgrace. It's thousands of words dancing without rhythm or connection, failing to make a point. Frankly, as a tax attorney, I'm embarrassed.
Okay, so what embarrasses you the most? That A, people don't know it, or B, that somebody actually put this thing together and called it a tax code?
Yeah, it's been said that the only difference between death and taxes is that death doesn't become more complicated every time Congress meets.
That's not even true anymore.
Death is becoming more complicated. It's really a shame what they've done to the tax code. You know, you would think that the tax code was designed to raise revenue, but that's just one of the reasons why we have it. Our tax code has been created to provide economic stimulus. It's to provide social change. It's a sausage that's made in Congress. Let me ask you this question: why do the blind get an extra standard deduction, and the deaf don't? I mean, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
No. Well, I would agree with you, and I would think that something else that you haven't mentioned there is it's also a way for legislators to pay off those who have supported them with special tax breaks for certain companies. Certain companies get them, other companies don't, even though they're in the same basic field of endeavor.
Absolutely correct. It's called pork, and it's done all the time. It's quid pro quo, and I think it's unethical. I think it's horrible. Okay,
so you're not going to get any disagreement, I think, with most folks out there. The question would be, and that where I want to kind of put this on the individual level, does the average CPA understand the enough of the complicated tax code to be able to save the most amount of money possible for their individual clients that walk in there? And I'm talking about your average, Joe and Jolene that walk into the accountant's office. Are they, up to snuff enough to be able to save those folks a considerable amount of money?
Honestly, in most cases, no. What you're really asking is, how do you pick a good CPA? And the answer to that is, any monkey can put numbers in boxes. I'm an accountant. I know how to put numbers in boxes. Anybody can put numbers in boxes. What you're really paying for and what you really want is someone to ask you questions, someone to give you guidance, someone to give you advice. Tax planning is the name of the game. By the time you come to December 31st, there isn't a whole lot of planning you can do for that year. You can put money in your retirement plans, but that's basically it.
Yeah.
End of the year, it's done. Your tax planning for 2016 should have started in 2015.
Okay, fair enough. But again, the question is, going back, how do you go about choosing the right accountant, the right CPA?
You get recommendations from people that you trust, and then you sit down with the accountant, and the worst accountant you can have is the one who sits there and says, just give me your numbers, and doesn't ask questions, doesn't make suggestions. That's how you know you've got the right accountant. When that person makes recommendations based upon questions that he or she asked you.
Okay, so what are some key questions, then, that an accountant or CPA should be asking a potential client? What are a couple of the key questions where you'll be able to know, all right, this person at least is at initial, visit here is maybe on the ball?
Let's take some simple deductions that people miss, and if your accountant isn't talking about those deductions with you, then time to do some shopping. Charitable contributions. Real simple, real basic. Everybody knows that if you write a check to the Red Cross, you write a check to your church, it's a deductible charitable contribution. But how many people recognize that if they give their old clothes, their old furniture to Goodwill, Salvation Army, even bring it to your church, that's also a legitimate contribution. The fair market value of what you've donated is deductible. Now, two issues. Number one, what's the fair market value? Well, on page 301 of my book, I have reproduced the Salvation Army's valuation guideline. So that makes it real easy for your listeners. Just make a photocopy of that page, and on that page it lists the values for different items. So you just write 5 next to shirts, 6 next to suits, 4 next to pair of pants, that kind of stuff. You use the value that's there. There's no way the IRS is going to contest that value because it's not yours, it's not mine. It's the value given by the Salvation Army. Second, let's get a little creative here. When you bring your stuff to, say, Goodwill, they're not going to itemize what you've given them. They're going to give you a receipt for number of bags. So what I tell my client is, instead of stuffing everything into 3 huge bags, put it into small grocery bags. I'm not saying deduct anything you haven't given, but I am saying it's easier to validate a number with a receipt for 12 bags of clothes than it is for a receipt for 3 bags of clothes.
Does the IRS ever challenge those things? I mean, like those donations like that?
Can they challenge it? Absolutely. But if you've got the receipt, and if you're in the appropriate situation, I'll define that in a minute, it's impossible, if you use the correct valuation, it's impossible for the IRS to challenge it. If you've got somebody who's making $10,000 a year and that person is donating, $5,000 worth of clothes, there's a credibility issue there.
Right.
On another section of my book, I give you average contributions based upon adjusted gross income. And don't take the average, take what you get. But if you look at what the average is in your tax bracket, you'll know whether or not the computer is going to click and whether or not you're going to be looked at.
Okay.
In that situation, pre-audit yourself. Put the substantiation in with the return. It'll minimize your chances for being audited.
Okay, so one of the questions, obviously, from your account, you're asking about charitable contributions. What's another one that you should be on the lookout for if your accountant asks, okay, this person's on the ball?
Medical expenses. Doctors, dentists, that's easy. Let's get a little more sophisticated. Don't forget your medical insurance. Here's one that everybody forgets all the time. How about mileage? 23 cents a mile for every mile that you use your car for medical purposes, going back and forth to the doctors, back and forth to hospitals. It adds up. It's your money. It's your money. It belongs to you. It belongs in your pocket. Don't hesitate to use the allowable deductions that the tax code does provide.
So you can actually deduct, did you say medical insurance?
Medical insurance, absolutely. You're talking about health insurance.
Yeah.
It's a medical expense. And if you're self-employed, all medical expenses as itemized deductions have to be reduced by 10% of your adjusted gross income. If you're over 65, it's only 7.5%. But if you're self-employed, you can take your health insurance payments above the line. That's in addition to your itemized deductions, or in addition to your standard deduction. It's clearly a completely legitimate deduction.
Fascinating.
And don't forget long-term care insurance as well. And all of these things. Again, the problem is that people don't know what's allowable, and quite frankly, in the appropriate situation, you can't give me anything that I can't make deductible.
All right. Let me ask this question. What about somebody that's, say, elderly and they're in assisted living? Is anything there, is that deductible because they're getting, I guess you would say, a certain amount of skilled assistance?
To the extent that the payments are made for skilled assistance, for medical assistance, they are deductible. Nursing home is 100% deductible.
Wow. All right.
I mean, there are cases where you can deduct your swimming pool as a medical expense.
For therapy? Therapeutic reasons?
For therapy, absolutely. Whirlpools for therapy. As long as the technical legal word is nexus, as long as there's that connection between the expense and the medical condition that you're seeking to relieve, to reduce the stress, all of that is deductible. Get a note from your doctor.
Jeff, a fascinating conversation. The book is How to Pay Zero Taxes. He's the former associate economics editor at USA Today, and like I said, author of How to Pay Zero Taxes. Jeff, would love to have you back on the show.
Jeff, do you have
again.
a website for people?
Yeah.
I don't have a specific website, but the book is available at all major bookstores. You can get it at Amazon. You can get it at Barnes & Nobles. It's published by McGraw-Hill, and it's in its 33rd edition.
Wow.
All right.
So it's been around for a while.
All right. Jeff, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. You have a great one.
You take care. Jeff Schnepper on the Wake Up Call. 650 News Radio 1120 KPNW.
It's your money. And this is your Wake Up Call Market Report on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. Stocks are falling in early trading, sliding further from a multi-week high reached on Monday. Declining oil prices continue to weigh on investors' global growth concerns. Right now, the Dow is down 190 points at 16,241. The S&P 500 is lower by 22 or 1.1% at 1899. And the Nasdaq is down 58 points or 1.3% at 44.44. Checking crude, it's at $30.70 a barrel. That represents a decline of 3.6% today. Among shares moving on corporate news today, Target. The retailer's stock is higher today, up about 2% after holiday sales beat analyst estimates, helped by online sales. But Lowe's is moving lower. Shares of the home improvement retailer are down about 2.5% after posting fourth quarter results that trailed rival Home Depot's. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
Northwest Burger inside the 5th Street Market features burgers so amazing they're an experience all their own. Freshly ground meat and local produce combined with the creativity of local chef Garrett Kirsch makes for a burger experience like no other. You'll get mouth-watering goodness in every single bite. Check out their menu and photos on Facebook. Northwest Burger, located in the 5th Street Market. It's not just a burger, it's an experience.
Ramjack has your foundation solution. Ramjack can fix that. CCB 146906.
Your plan is to make the most out of life. That's why your plan is a Medicare Advantage plan from Pacific Source. It lets you choose from almost any doctor in the region with no deductible. Plus, you get great benefits like prescription drug coverage, protection when you travel, optional dental care, and even discounts on gym memberships. Plans start as low as $39. Pacific Source Medicare, the health plan for all of life's biggest plans. To learn more about our Medicare Advantage plans, call toll-free 888-863-3637, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week. Visit us online at www.medicare.pacificsource.com. Premium and benefits may change on January 1st of each year. You must continue to pay your Medicare Part B premium. The provider network may change at any time. Members will receive notice when necessary. Pacific Source Community Health Plans is an HMO PPO plan with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in Pacific Source Medicare depends on contract renewal.
Super Serving the 15. The Wake Up Call. Mornings, 6 to 9 a.m. Please clap. On News Radio 1120 KPNW.
654 News Radio 1120 KPNW. Cloudy and maybe a little break of sunshine throughout the day. 60 for the high. Cloudy and 39 coming up tonight. Tomorrow, pretty much a repeat. Friday, we got the rain coming in. How about an advanced preview of the 7 o'clock hour?
Well, coming up in the 7 o'clock hour, we're going to be doing a couple of different things. We are going to be chatting with the folks at Cascade Policy Institute. And we're going to talk specifically, I mean, the conversation is going to start off with this clean energy bill that was rammed through the legislature, but we're going to take kind of more of a, if you will, a universal view of this particular legislative session from someone who has been there for years. Also, Lise Wheel will be joining us, Fox News legal analyst. She'll be coming up in the 7 o'clock hour as well on KPNW News Radio 1120.
Hi, this is Bill London, and I can tell you from experience, dealing with a realtor can be a trying experience. Trying to sell my mom and dad's house recently, I would have liked to have had a realtor who up front would have told me not necessarily what I wanted to hear, but what I needed to hear. Like, for instance, that we really did need to put a new roof on the house. Otherwise, we were going to get beaten down on the price and some other things as well. Well, Eric Harpole is one of those realtors. He won't tell you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear to get the most out of your house.
I think when you sit down with Eric or anybody from his team, it's quickly apparent. I mean, they're serious, they know real estate, and they're not into filling the air with things that aren't true. Whether you're buying or selling or even thinking about doing either of those two, call the Harpole team at 541-286-3030. It will be the most refreshing conversation you ever had with a realtor. The Harpole Real Estate Group is changing the way real estate gets done here locally. 541-286-3030.
Sun Automotive is proud to sponsor the Northwest edition of Lars Larson. Sun Automotive with locations in Eugene and Springfield reminds you, stay safe on the road, keep your car well maintained, and don't text and drive. Sun Automotive.
Don't miss Lorena McKennett, an evening of music and stories on Friday, March 25th at 8 p.m. for one performance only at the Holt Center for the Performing Arts in Eugene.
It was down by the sunny gardens.
Lorena McKennett is joined on stage by her longtime collaborators Brian Hughes and Caroline Lavelle. For tickets, call or stop into the Holt Center ticket office or buy online anytime at holtcenter.org.
The Wake Up Call. Wake Up Call. On 1120. KPNW.
I'm Gary Conley with today's Money Minute. Recently, I reported that the University of Oregon is threatening condemnation proceedings against the owner of a cell tower they need to tear down to expand the West Grandstand at Hayward Field. I also told you, based on my experience with Lane County, that if the government wants your property, it will take it, unless you can prove there's no public purpose for doing so. That's nearly impossible after a case decided by the U.S. Supreme Court in 2005 known as Kello, in which it was held that the power of eminent domain can be used to transfer property from one private owner to another simply to increase the value for tax purposes. In other words, condemn a Motel 6 and sell the property for redevelopment as a Hilton. That's now the law, as long as a public entity goes through the proper steps. Here's the nugget. Kello is why property owners along the MX West line never had a chance, and the company that owns the cell tower lease at Hayward Field will both lose and is highly unlikely to come out whole even before legal expenses. I wonder how the owners of Tom's Tea House feel about the process after LTD sliced the end off their building before the amount of compensation had even been settled on. It would also be interesting to know if LTD actually followed the law. I'm Gary Conley, and that's today's Money Minute.
The Eugene area radio stations will be presenting two $3,000 scholarships through Oregon Student Access and Completion. Each scholarship will go to one high school student and one college student who demonstrate a desire and aptitude for radio sales, engineering, news, or programming. Click on the Resources tab at eugeneradio.gov for details. Application deadline is February 15th, with final paperwork due at oregonstudentaid.gov by March 1st. The Eugene area radio stations, ears, support students and education in our communities.
It's the latest wake-up call market news. This is the KPNW Business Report.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. Stocks are falling in early trading, sliding further from a multi-week high reached on Monday. Declining oil prices continue to weigh on investors' global growth concerns. Right now, the Dow is down 190 points at 16,241. The S&P 500 is lower by 22 or 1.1% at 1899. And the NASDAQ is down 58 points or 1.3% at 44.44. Checking crude, it's at $30.70 a barrel. That represents a decline of 3.6% today. Among shares moving on corporate news today, Target. The retailer's stock is higher today, up about 2% after holiday sales beat analyst estimates, helped by online sales. But Lowe's is moving lower. Shares of the home improvement retailer are down about 2.5% after posting fourth quarter results that trailed rival Home Depot's. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
Fox News, fair and balanced. We report, you decide. On News Radio 1120 KPNW Eugene Springfield.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. Fresh off a third win in a row, Donald Trump says,
my people are very, very loyal. You see that, and everybody sees that, and the base is very big.
Nevada was his biggest victory yet, getting 46% of the Republican vote last night. Fox's Jessica Rosenthal live in Las Vegas.
Yeah, Dave, it wasn't even close. Trump trounced. He told supporters last night that he won across all groups, including evangelicals and Hispanics, and then promptly reminded everyone of his plan to build a wall on the border.
We're going in the wrong direction. We're going to keep, as you know, Gitmo, we're keeping that open, and we're going to load it up with bad dudes. We're going to load it up with a lot of bad dudes out there.
Marco Rubio appears to have come in second, Ted Cruz right behind him in third, though they both come away with the same number of delegates.
The role of the first 4 states is to narrow the field and give Super Tuesday a clear choice. And now the voters can decide.
And one of the big things that drove Nevadans, anger at the establishment within the Republican Party, Dave.
Jessica, the next contest is for Democrats in South Carolina Saturday. Then it's Super Tuesday next week. Donald Trump will campaign in Virginia today. Rubio and Cruz out in Texas. Ben Carson will be there, too. He says he won't listen to pundits calling for him to drop out. Neither will John Kasich. He'll be in Mississippi and Louisiana. People are out salvaging what's left of their mobile homes in St. James Parish, Louisiana. 2 people were killed in a tornado there. Another died when a twister hit Mississippi. Pensacola, Florida also got hit.
The trees, power lines, all on top of the cars here. This is just one of a number of subdivisions that have been hit. There's an apartment complex not too far away from where we understand 6 people were hurt, 3 buildings destroyed, as many as 24 apartments also destroyed.
Steve Alexander with Fox 10 TV. President Obama is not deterred by Senate Republicans, saying they will not consider whomever he nominates for the Supreme Court. Writing in SCOTUS blog this morning, he'll choose someone eminently qualified, independently minded, perhaps someone with life experience outside a court or classroom. On Wall Street, the Dow's down 250 points. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
No matter what kind of allergy day you're having, relief can be yours with Nasacort Allergy 24-Hour. Its prescription-strength medicine effectively relieves your worst nasal allergy symptoms, including congestion, for 24 hours. Nasacort has no harsh taste, is non-drowsy, and non-addictive. Unlike Flonase, Nasacort is scent and alcohol-free. And in clinical studies with Flonase, more people prefer Nasacort. For effective nasal allergy relief, choose Nasacort. It's guaranteed relief or your money back. Details at nasacort.com. Use as directed.
Hey, let me ask you something. Would you seat your 3-year-old child on a windowsill? Would you seat them beside a lit fireplace or by the deep end of a pool? One last question. Would you seat your child in a car seat that's not correct for them? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Secure their future. Seat them in the correct car seat. For more information, visit safercar.gov/the right seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Again, there's a lot of selling this morning on Wall Street, continuing what we saw yesterday. Fox Business Network's Nicole Petalides live at the New York Stock Exchange.
Dave, we continue to see the correlation between oil selling off and stocks selling off. Oil's down and so are stocks. The Dow is down 1.5% right now, down 240 points at 16,190. The Nasdaq down 70. The S&P 500 down 27. All the major averages are down over 1% for the week. We're seeing financials and energy under pressure today. Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, for example, are losers on the Dow. On the upside, Target and TJX, which is the parent TJ Maxx, both with up arrows after some better than expected earnings. Dave.
Now, Nicole, you mentioned oil. It's down more than $1 today, close to $30 a barrel again. Gas prices about the same, though. AAA's national average for regular remains about $1.71 a gallon. We just got news from the housing market. New home sales plunged in January, dropping more than 9%. This came after a 10-month high a month ago. Jose Reyes has just made Major League Baseball history, but not in a way he wants off the field.
Colorado Rockies shortstop Jose Reyes has been placed on paid leave and will not report to spring training while a domestic violence case plays out in Hawaii.
We're certainly not going to get in the way of the law conducting what they need to conduct, but we take everything in consideration.
MLB Chief Baseball Officer Joe Torre.
As awful as this situation is, there are still rights that have to be protected.
Reyes was arrested on Halloween at a Maui resort after an argument with his wife and has pleaded not guilty to abuse of a family member. He's the first player disciplined under the league's new domestic violence policy. Chris Onig, Fox News.
Several leaders of a polygamous sect based in Utah and Arizona, the border there, scheduled to appear in court today, arrested by federal authorities in food stamp fraud and money laundering. Their brothers have imprisoned leader Warren Jeffs. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News Radio.
E1120 KPNW 705. Got some cloud cover out there. Do you have any fog today?
No,
okay.
I didn't. It was a more, the weird part of it was I actually ran into a shower. I know. Out there, it's like, there wasn't supposed to be any showers in the forecast. It was out on 34 just outside of Albany. I was
You sure it was precipitation?
Yeah, I'm sure it was precipitation.
Okay. All right. Cloudy and 39 coming up tonight, tomorrow, another mild day, and then rain in the forecast for the Friday. The weekend shouldn't be a complete washout, so if you have anything outdoors, if you're doing anything exciting, then just go forward. The wake-up call grants you permission. Lee's Wheel coming up on a Wheel Wednesday at 7:27. This is going to be our time with her, 7:27.
Yeah. From this point forward, it's Lease at 7:27.
Should we get? I know we have one for Rush at 9:06. Should we get one?
It's 7:27 with Lease Wheel.
It says it's 7:27.
I'm game with that.
Time for Lease.
Yeah, we're going to be talking this morning. Yeah, I think that would be a brilliant thing to do. We're going to talk this morning about the issue with Apple, which, by the way, is the whole thing with their little dust up with the government, and the government saying, well, this is a marketing thing. Okay, I'm going to say, no, it probably isn't, but if it is, it's still brilliant. Even if it's not marketing, they're going to sell millions of phones because of that. And I don't have an iPhone, but when I heard they were like, no, we're not going to give you we're not going to build a back door, and we're not going to give you a back door into it. The first thing, when I heard the first report of that, I said to myself, I think I may get an iPhone. And I don't like Apple products. I'll be the first person to say I'm not a fan of Apple products. Probably because I have not used them enough.
I'll take an iPhone.
Yeah, because I have not used them enough to be comfortable with them. Because I've been using, Microsoft stuff, since my initial immersion into the digital age. So that said, I look at it and go, yeah, nice. Just as kind of one of those.
I don't think the government is used to getting one of those.
One of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, 7:40. We're going to talk with a gentleman from the Cascade Policy. We're just going to plant the seed. Love to get your response and your reaction and any comments from that conversation, either via email
or otherwise.
Do we do the text here? We don't do text here, do we? No. No text number. Okay. Or you can, of course, call in after, call in afterwards. The old school way with the telephone. That's coming up about 7:40.
We'll have this news coming up. We'll take a look at what's going on in the legislature, a couple of things affecting Eugene directly, at least one of them. Other things, more of kind of a statewide basis. We'll take a look at those items coming up. We'll also follow up with what the FBI is saying now about what happened over in Eastern Oregon at the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge. And the state police say, we want to appeal the decision of the jury that said that our police officers should not have kicked a motorcyclist in the chest. Those stories and more are coming up, brought to you by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones on KPNW.
News time 7:09.
In the morning, when you're on the run, stop and eat at Burrito Amigos. One of Burrito Amigos' little-known facts is that you can get the Burrito Amigos breakfast platter. Once you've ordered it, you need to start making decisions. Are you going to have bacon, link sausage, chorizo, or chili verde? And how are those eggs going to be cooked? Over easy, scrambled, kind of hard, sunny side up, or some other way? Then you wait a minute or so, and it's all served up with potatoes, cheese, beans, and corn tortillas. Once someone smiling delivers the Burrito Amigos platter, it's breakfast on. It's a quick, tasty, inexpensive sit-down meal. It's only $7.50, or do it meatless for $6.50 if you want to get all vegetarian first thing in the morning. Since their name is Burrito Amigos, a big old breakfast burrito isn't out of the question, with your choice of bacon, sausage, chorizo, machaca, or huevos rancheros in junior or adult size. As Burrito Amigos' biggest fan, I vote adult, the large one. It holds more bacon. Burrito Amigos in Springfield and Eugene. Stop and eat breakfast. I'm Bill London, Burrito Amigos fan, and I approve this message.
Every day is Black Friday. You have to see it at Creative Clock on Conger.
This is a referral service. Calls will be routed to an independent referral insurance agency. Do you know the number one cause of bankruptcy? No, it's not losing your job or running up credit card debt. It's not even divorce. It's medical costs. If you and your family don't have health insurance, just one serious illness or accident could be financially devastating. But now there's good news, really good news. A health insurance hotline has been established to provide health insurance for all Americans, even uninsured Americans with pre-existing conditions. Now anyone can get health insurance even if you have a pre-existing medical condition. I repeat, now anyone can get health insurance coverage. Call now for a free no-obligation quote on affordable health plans available to you. Again, this is a free hotline for anyone, even if you have pre-existing conditions. Protect you and your family from sudden unexpected medical costs. Call the free health insurance hotline right now at 1-800-841-0007. That's 1-800-841-0007. Call 1-800-841-0007.
Today's top stories. In depth. This is the Wake Up Call on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
Good morning. This look at the news brought to you by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones featuring great breakfast burritos and fresh brewed locally roasted coffee for a tasty start to your morning. Here's what's going on. Well, the state is trying to appeal a case where a state police officer kicked a Eugene motorcyclist in the chest. A jury found that Captain Rob Edwards was wrong in kicking Justin Wilkins in the chest during a traffic stop. The jury awarded Wilkins $180,000 for the negligence of Officer Edwards for that kick that broke Wilkins' clavicle and rib. They also found that Edwards acted with negligence when his car rear-ended Wilkins' motorcycle seconds before the savage kick. State Department of Justice attorneys last week filed a notice of appeal with the U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. No grounds for that appeal were stated in the notice. After the verdict, the state police did release a statement, though, that said, in quote, situations like these, officers only have milliseconds to make what may be a life or death decision, and those officers should be shielded from the liability of civil damages. The key evidence in the case was the video taken by Edwards' patrol car camera showing him roughing up Wilkins. The Oregon House passed the Tracktown USA hotel tax yesterday on a relatively narrow 37-20 vote. 36 yes votes were needed to pass. The bill now heads to the House. HB 4146 would increase the state's 1% lodging tax and charge extra on campsite stays and short-term rentals. The increase sets the tax at 1.8%. The increase essentially will put $25 million towards the 2021 World Track and Field Championships in Eugene and in the pocket of Tracktown USA, the group hosting the event. Now, lawmakers, at the urging of Governor Brown, earlier said they would let Travel Oregon independently decide where the extra money would go, effectively allowing lawmakers to wash their hands of cronyism when the money is allocated to Tracktown. Travel Oregon has never spent money on projects not related to marketing, and usually in the form of small grants, not more than about $10,000 or $20,000. Now, as for the makeup of Travel Oregon, well, the governing board, they're all political appointees put in their positions by Governor Brown, who, for the record, has already said she supports the subsidy and the lodging tax increases. Angry Portland residents addressed Oregon lawmakers yesterday during a fiery informational hearing on air pollution. Brad Ford reports.
Two glass companies have been emitting potentially cancer-causing heavy metals into the air for years. Residents who live nearby, like Sarah Livingstone, says it has made her and her neighbors sick.
Oregonians deserve to breathe air that does not make us sick.
The DEQ says there's a gap between federal rules controlling large industry and smaller businesses like the glass companies that also cause pollution. Tom Wood with Associated Oregon Industries says DEQ has rules in place to manage small industrial pollution.
DEQ is really hamstrung if they can't go out there and be operating the monitors that are needed to be able to detect whether a site-specific risk assessment is necessary.
Wood says DEQ needs adequate funding from the legislature to monitor pollution hotspots and control the problem. I'm Brad Ford, KPNW.
Sudden rent increases would be a thing of the past under a bill passed yesterday by the Oregon House. It would bar any rent increases for the first year of a month-to-month tendency. Now, after that, landlords would have to give 90 days notice of an increase. Democratic co-sponsor Chris Gorsuch says it also increases the notice for no-cause evictions from 30 to 90 days.
This bill provides precious time for families and seniors to plan better.
Republican Cliff Benz objected to the one-year moratorium on increases without any evidence that it will spur construction of more rentals to ease the crisis.
But if you have an economic analysis that says this is going to cause all kinds of money to pour into this state to build more units, let's hear about it. Until then, I'm going to be a no vote.
Gee, do you think he was in the minority on that? Yeah, he was. The bill now moves to the Senate. The Oregon Senate also passed a bill that allows medical and recreational marijuana shops to exist as one. Brad Ford reports Republicans say Democrats are violating the Constitution.
Most medical marijuana shops say they'll turn recreational if they have to choose one or the other. This bill allows them to do both. Senator Jenny Burdick says patients will still be able to get medical marijuana.
The patient can continue to work with their chosen grower or dispensary as they have in the past.
Senator Ted Ferrioli supports the bill.
The bill supplies a solution for those who wish to serve both the medical and the recreational populations.
But he and other Republicans voted against it because it includes an emergency clause and affects revenue, and that's against the state constitution. Democrats say a judge can decide and eliminate the emergency clause if necessary. Brad Ford, KPNW.
That bill, by the way, now moves to the House. Well, the minimum wage is going up after both the House and Senate voted to send a minimum wage bill to the governor, who has said she will sign it. So it will be going up. And many local food producers, that's farmers, ranchers, and food processors, are very unhappy about it.
You know, farmers and ranchers are very adaptable and are used to overcoming challenges, but this is pretty darn grim.
Anne-Marie Moss with the Oregon Farm Bureau says the first hike is coming in July, where the minimum wage will jump to $9.75 in urban areas and $9.50 in rural areas.
So we're really concerned that a lot of farms won't be able to absorb the higher minimum wage and will have to possibly mechanize, which means that jobs would be lost, or change to a less labor-intensive crop.
The effects on existing deals may also cut deep.
You know, many farms already have their crops contracted for 2016, so they're going to have to start paying a higher minimum wage while having their prices already set. So just from the start, it's going to be very difficult for some of these small farms to sustain this.
She says the Oregon agricultural community is already planning for the worst. FBI personnel say they have completed the evidence collection process at the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge following that 41-day standoff. The FBI said Tuesday they've turned control of the facility near Burns over to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Officials from the service say it will remain closed until further notice. Government prosecutors also filed a motion Tuesday to push back the trial dates for those arrested following the standoff. Prosecutors want a federal judge to deem the case complex, citing the large number of defendants and other issues. That would likely send the case into 2017. Defense lawyer Lisa Hay filed a document opposing those efforts. Standoff leader Ammon Bundy and 15 others are scheduled to be arraigned today on a conspiracy charge prosecutors say a superseding indictment with additional charges could be filed next month. The Oregon Department of Transportation is being sued for not making all of its sidewalk crossings compliant with the Americans with Disabilities Act. Brad Ford has the story.
The group filing the lawsuit says ODOT is working too slow to make sidewalks with ramps that are ADA compliant. Attorney Stephen Bruschetto says ODOT needs to dedicate more money to solving the problem.
ODOT has a multi-billion-dollar budget, and as recently as 2011, its budget for dealing with curb ramps was $200,000.
The lawsuit cites locations around the state, including Clatskanie, Roseburg, Bend, and Portland.
We want to see an aggressive push to get these curb ramps addressed so that people can be safe and so that they can access their communities.
ODOT says they are working with the group to make the necessary changes, but Bruschetto says the work wasn't happening fast enough, and the lawsuit will force ODOT to speed up the timetable. I'm Brad Ford, KPNW.
Amtrak Cascades is allowing pets in limited numbers and with restrictions on its trips. Pets, yes, small cats and dogs are going to be allowed onto trains with a $25 fee. It's not really a new thing. Service animals are already allowed, but now your Aunt Margie with her yippy Pomeranian will be able to ride the train.
You know, we're gonna see what kind of feedback we get from passengers. The pets that meet the qualifications will only be allowed in one coach car
car number 4. And so all the pets will be together in one coach car. And there will be a maximum of 5 of these pets per train.
It's first come, first serve, according to Shelley Snow with ODOT. She says pet reservations will be accepted for travel starting March 7th and can only be made with a reservation. This is for small animals only, weighing under 20 pounds. Pets are not allowed on trips to Canada and can't be booked on trips lasting longer than 7 hours. So rides to the Great White North for your maple syrup and ice fishing will be pet-free. Oregon Senator Ron Wyden is taking the sweeping opioid epidemic to Congress. Wyden says the Finance Committee now has the opportunity to develop fresh policies, and it's time to step up. Senator Wyden says folks are paying for a distorted set of priorities.
Americans are getting hooked on opioids. There's not enough treatment, and enforcement is falling short.
He says, as it is, policymakers feel they need to choose one of 2 solutions, and one is tough enforcement.
Which means cracking down on pill mills, fraudsters bilking Medicare and Medicaid with unneeded prescriptions, and unscrupulous abusers doctor shopping for the next bottles of pills.
He says the other is more social services. He says he actually believes 3 things need to work in tandem: better prevention, better treatment, and better enforcement. Lynn Benton Community College ramped up its security after being the target of a bomb threat Monday night. Albany police received the call from a computer-generated voice Monday night around 6. The caller said there would be a bomb at Lynn Benton Community College on Tuesday. Did not specify a time or location. Police ultimately decided it wasn't a credible threat. According to the police department at Albany, schools on the East Coast also received similar messages Monday night. Police have yet to be able to trace the caller and said the case is still under investigation. Well, it's that time of year. It's the 78th Annual Oregon Logging Conference being held at the Lane County Fairgrounds. Tomorrow and Friday promise all the education and discussion those in the logging industry have grown to expect from the conference. Saturday, though, is more of an open-door affair.
And for the public, Saturday it's open free to the public, and that would be the day that they can come in and see the latest technology and equipment. And in the Wheeler Pavilion, we have a family fun and education exhibit.
OLC Director Ricky Wellman says this includes a high school forestry skills competition. The latest tech in cable-assisted logging is going to be on display, along with lots of equipment and plenty of speakers. The conference runs again tomorrow through Saturday. The logging equipment show is free to the public, 9 a.m. to 2 on Saturday at the Lane County Fairgrounds. This live and local look at your news brought to you by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones, at 723 at KPNW.
Wake Up Call Sports on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
So maybe the Portland Trailblazers were just tired and needed a week to regroup. Since the All-Star break, they've taken down the likes of Golden State, Utah last night, Brooklyn bowing to the Blazers 112-104. Damian Lillard and C.J. McCollum, a pair of 34s. By the way, that moved him past Zach Randolph. Damian Lillard, 14th on the franchise all-time scoring list, as he's tallied 6,234. Boy, not the advertising they were hoping for over there at Hilton, but Cleveland's Kyrie Irving stayed at the Skirvin Hilton Hotel and apparently spent his night dealing with bed bugs. Ended up missing the next day's game with the Thunder with flu-like symptoms. Prep ladies' monumental game for North Eugene last night, who were playing the 5th-ranked Marist Spartans, who beat them last month. Just like that, the Highlanders were down 9, and things did not look good for the team off River Road. But Coach Burdett and company fight, claw, get back into the game, and end up winning it 48-36. Next up for them, Crater, both tied for 3rd in the Midwestern Girls Conference. Oregon runners Edward Cheserek and Raven Rogers, runners of the week. Cheserek broke Galen Rupp's school record in the indoor 3,000, and Rogers bested the school record in the indoor 800. Wake Up Call Sports, live and local on KPNW News Time 724.
The most accurate forecast now. We have weather every 10 minutes during Wake Up Call on News Radio 1120. KPNW.
Good morning. If you're headed out that door in the next few minutes, or you're already out there, we're seeing light rain off and on, but no real accumulation. We've also got patchy, dense fog. I expect that to burn off in the next couple of hours. Otherwise, mostly cloudy skies. Temps right now in the upper 30s to low 40s with light winds out of the southeast at 0 to 5. This afternoon, we're looking at the mostly cloudy skies becoming partly cloudy. No real shot at rain as high pressure continues to dominate over the region, and highs will be on the warmer side, back in the mid to upper 50s across most locations. The next chance at rain looks to be Friday night as the high pressure that's keeping things fairly dry looks to shift inland. That'll bring the showers back with a quarter to a half inch, but between now and then, fairly nice conditions. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation in the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a fantastic day.
Hi, everybody. This is Don Essig with today's Motivational Minute, brought to you by Builders Electric, providing smart electrical service since 1960. As I travel and speak at wellness conferences around the country, I'm often surprised at the great amount of attention given to the physical fitness movement and its programs. Many dollars are spent each day on keeping physically fit, so we'll look good. And I often wonder how many of those fit people are also taking care of their wellness programs. In other words, their wellness from the neck up, like their attitudes, positive relationships, goal setting, and helping others. How's your wellness program? Add it to your fitness program today. This is Don Essig with today's Motivational Minute. I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, have a positive day.
Today's Motivational Minute was sponsored by Builders Electric, voted the Register Guard's 2015 Reader's Choice #1 electrical contractor, providing positive service for over 55 years. That's Builders Electric, CCB 4296.
Hi, Mike here with some info on West Eugene. Did you know there are over 400 businesses on West 6th, 7th, and 11th? Yeah, 400. That includes plenty of motels. Maybe it's your year to host the family reunion and you don't have enough beds. Or your buddies are coming in for the weekend to cheer on the Ducks. And when were your in-laws arriving for that visit? Ugh. Well, they just may have to stay at a motel. Whatever the reason, if you've got extra people in town, take them down to West 6th, 7th, and 11th in Eugene. Go west, sleepy people. Go west.
The Wake Up Call. Wake Up Call. On 1120. KPNW.
News Radio 1120 KPNW 727. Joining us live and direct from New York, where it's angry fists of rain, is none other than Fox News legal analyst Lise Wheel on the Wake Up Call for a weekly visit. Hi, Lise.
Hey, great to be with you. Yeah, it is really angry fisting of rain here. Yes, it is.
Wow. Okay. Well, I hate it when that happens.
No, in Eugene, you've got lovely, slight, lovely, pelting loveliness of rain. Here, it's like angry. What you want? What you want, lady? Rain.
Okay. That. By the way, that's a nice character voice that you did there.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, so let's talk about Apple and the deal with Apple denying the FBI's request to create this backdoor to the iPhone. I mean, legally speaking, can the courts compel Apple to essentially, leave a security hole in a product?
Well, the way you put it, no. But yes, they will, on March 22nd at the latest, say to Apple, you must comply with my order, magistrate judge out there in San Bernardino. You must comply with my order to get this one phone and crack the code so a dead terrorist, who, by the way, it is owned by San Bernardino County, who said, hey, take it, smash it on the sidewalk, do whatever you want with it, and get into it so you can find out who this dead terrorist was communicating with. Yes, you can get into it. Oh, calm down, Lise. Calm down. You're in New York. Go back to your Yakima roots.
Yeah, but
yes.
Okay, so and Apple, of course, can still say, no, we're not.
No. At that point, you're in contempt of court. Yes, they can say no, but they can be saying no from a prison cell or no from multi-million-dollar fines.
Okay, so who are they going to send to jail?
Well, Cook, the CEO.
Okay, so they can send Cook to
Correct.
Okay, and they can fine the company.
Yes, correct.
All right. But what they're saying is, and I mean, this makes sense to me, if they create the ability to hack into this.
Now, who's they?
They being Apple. Yeah. If they create the ability to hack into one of their phones, that
You use the word hack. I mean, it's to
well,
get
but it's what they're doing. They're hacking into
to create software.
That's hacking.
To get through. Look,
That's called hacking, Lise.
It's to try. Look, if I go into my computer now, and gee, Lise, you forgot your password. Oh, and I tried multiple times to get through to get my password. If I don't remember it, then boom, I don't have a computer anymore because I don't remember it. I go to Apple, they say, well, we don't remember it, so gee, we'll try to help you. Oh, it's this. That's all they're trying to do with this one phone. One phone. That's it.
Well, Lise, I mean, you're making a fine distinction, and
That's what lawyers do.
Well, yeah, I know. And so, I mean, if we're going to go with the semantic book of warfare here, I mean, it's one thing if you forget your passcode and, you send a little thing to Gmail and go, I can't remember my password, I need to retrieve it, and they send you an email on another email address that says, go to the web page and do this, and you'll be able to get into your Gmail. It's another thing for somebody to come in and go, okay, so here's this cell phone that we have, and we want to get into it. That is not the same as retrieving your password. That is a hack, Lise.
Okay, let's go back to 1789 and the All Writs Act. And that says if the government needs to get into something, now, of course, in 1789, they didn't know about, Apple and all this. And a third party, by the way, that would mean Apple. If they need a third party to get to execute a court order, and the only way to get through it is a third party because the government can't figure out how to get to execute a third order. That would be the FBI. You can do it. 1789, they were already figuring this stuff out. I mean,
what were they trying to get into?
Well, then updated to 1977, and it was a wiretap, okay?
They were wiretapping back in 1787?
No.
What was it, still like cups and string?
No. 1789. The Writs Act. Okay, then work with me here. Then 1977. The Supreme Court said they applied the 1789 Act to its 1977 Act, 1977 Supreme Court Act of wiretapping, right? Saying, the only way to get through a wiretapping was to use a third party. Here, now apply it now to 2016. Same thing. You need Apple. The only way to figure out how to get into this one darn phone is through Apple. A third party. Apply it. The only way to get through to this one phone is through Apple. If the FBI could do it, they would have done it. They can't. They're smart, but they can't figure it out.
Well, and I think some people would say, good. The point here is, though, that the FBI, though, and the government has come to them before and said, we want you to leave us a back door. And that in doing this, essentially what they're going to be doing is creating the software that will create a backdoor that will end up getting leaked, and it will create exactly what Apple is saying it doesn't want to create.
Understood. But wouldn't you like to have what's on that dead terrorist phone that isn't even owned by him? Wouldn't you like to know who he was talking with?
At the cost, though, of what, Lise?
I don't know. But right now, I want to know who he was talking with. Who are those people that are out there? There are dead people on the street on Sandbridge. Well, they're not on the street anymore. They're dead. They're in morgues. They're buried. I want to know who that guy was talking with. He has no rights. And his phone has no rights because it was not even owned by him. So I want to know who that man was speaking with.
All right. Explain this to one of our listeners who emails, and this is very brief. What can be abused will be abused every time.
Well, I suppose you're saying the government, but how about the phone was abused by this terrorist speaking with other terrorists? I would want to know who he was speaking with. Who else is out there? Who else is out there in California? Who else is out there in Oregon? Who else is out there in Washington? Who else is out there planning other terrorist attacks? I want to know that. Give the FBI a warning, at least.
Further email. Loss of freedom and privacy, and freedom is always good for, quote, the people. Wasn't this dead terrorist already being tracked by the government?
You know, I guess it was not tracked well enough.
All right.
Not tracked well enough.
All right, Lise. I appreciate the chat this morning. We'll do it again next week. You have a great rest of your day.
You got it.
All right,
Same
you
to
take
you.
care. Lise Wheel, it's 7:35 News Radio 1120 KPNW.
With our eye on the stock tickers, this is the Wake Up Call Business Report on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. Stocks are falling as the S&P 500 slides further away from a 6-week high reached on Monday. Falling oil prices continue to prey on investors' global growth concerns. Target posting holiday sales growth that topped analyst estimates, though the retailer's heavy reliance on discounts took a toll on profit during the season. Meantime, Lowe's posting fourth-quarter sales that topped analyst estimates as more Americans spruce up their homes. Audi has been named best brand in the U.S. by Consumer Reports, despite the emissions cheating scandal engulfing its parent company, Volkswagen. The German maker of the A6 sedan beat out rivals through a combination of consistently excellent road tests and owners reporting few trips to the mechanic. Dunkin' Donuts fighting to regain the breakfast business. Dunkin' Donuts is revamping its menu boards to emphasize coffee and all-day breakfast foods, a bid to remind America that it served eggs and sausage during afternoon hours long before McDonald's got the notion. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
Gunrunner Arms is celebrating 3 years of business in Junction City, supplying local residents with firearms and related products. February 27th, help Gunrunners celebrate and meet reps from Nikon. Enter a raffle to win a $250 gift card from Gunrunners, courtesy of the Oregon Firearms Federation. Also, you can donate your lightly used items for the annual Mid-Valley Habitat for Humanity yard sale. Plus, Liberty Safes are on sale. Nikon optics are 10% off, and Mountain House Foods are 20% sale price. Sale items limited to stock on hand. Gunrunner Arms at the intersection of Highway 99 and 36 in Junction City.
Not available in California. Here's a great idea for a business. Health food and vending machines. Who doesn't want healthier choices? Imagine the money you could make. Well, the guys at Fresh Healthy Vending have already thought of it and have secured locations ready for healthy vending machines. Most of our franchisees work fewer than 15 hours a week and are amazed at the income they're making and how fast their business is growing. So go to readyforfresh.com right now. Type in promo code 1919 and receive an immediate 50% savings on franchise fees. That's right, we'll pay half of new franchisees' fees. ReadyForFresh.com, 1919.
At GoDaddy, a domain name is the beginning of something awesome. Use it to create a website to promote your business. Open an online store to sell your products. Start a blog. Build your brand. You can even connect your domain to your LinkedIn or Facebook page. And GoDaddy customer support is always ready to help. What will you do with your domain name? Get a free domain with website from GoDaddy.com, starting at $1 a month. Annual purchase of website builder required. Price valid first year only. See website for details.
If you need to sell your home, listen up. Lars here to tell you about a real estate agent right in Lane County that takes the stress out of selling a home. I'm talking about Jeremy Parmenter of Keller Williams Realty. Jeremy has a marketing system for selling homes on a whole different level than anyone you're going to talk to in Lane County. Jeremy works with the top real estate developer in Oregon, and week after week, Jeremy attracts hundreds of buyers, which creates demand and helps your home sell fast and for top dollar. That's why Jeremy offers a home sale guarantee. If Jeremy can't sell your home at a price and deadline you agreed to, he'll buy it. Plus, it's risk-free. If he isn't doing his job after one day, you can fire him. But don't worry, you won't, because he outsells the average agent 8-1. If I needed to sell my home and lived in Lane County, I'd call up Jeremy. Call Jeremy today at 541-255-5685. That's 541-255-5685. And start packing.
Your KPNW weather brought to you by Mattress Mania,
where the side effect of saving like crazy may cause excessive high-fiving and a permanent smile.
Good morning to you and yours. If you're headed out that door in the next few minutes, we've got patchy dense fog off and on. I expect that to burn off over the next couple of hours, as well as a few sprinkles, but no real accumulation. We've got temps in the upper 30s to low 40s out there, with light winds out of the southeast at 0 to 5. This afternoon, we're looking at the mostly cloudy skies, becoming partly cloudy for a little bit, but don't expect a whole lot of sunshine. High pressure over most of the state is keeping the storm system systems away. That means highs will shoot back into the mid to upper 50s in most locations as wind shifts south at 5 to 10. This high pressure that's given us fairly dry and nice weather looks to shift east over the next couple of days. And that means the storm systems out over the water will finally reach us Friday evening with an 80% chance of showers and about 1/2 to a 3/4 of an inch of rain. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation in the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a fantastic day.
So there are a ton of people out there that put the majority of their money, their budget, into the living room. We're talking about the couches, the love seats, the easy chairs, and that's fine. But really, you should be a little bit more selfish. Yeah, you can put a little bit more into the mattress, but not that much. I mean, hey, I'm just saying more than what you've already put. You know, you might have just like a slab of an old, outdated, 20-year-old mattress down there, and what is that worth? Put a little bit more into your nightly affair, as in sleeping, and go for the best rest ever. The best rest event ending soon at Sleep Train. The one thing is you're going to feel compelled to have, your social events in your bedroom around your brand new mattress because, kind of want to show it off, and now you've got more money into that. And that's just going to, I think, prompt you to have to do a little bit more laundry. Because some people don't
now
take their
you're just
shoes
creeping
off.
me out here with this line,
They take their
Rob.
shoes off.
You're creeping me out.
And then if everybody
He's the
gets
single
jammies.
one. He's single. Just forgive him. Anyway, it's Sleep Train, Albany, Corvallis, Eugene, and Springfield. Tell them, well, maybe you don't want to tell them in this case. Bill and Rob from the Wake Up call sent you in. It's 7:40.
Local news, local people, Holloway in London, and the Wake Up Call. I want you to get up now. On News Radio 1120, KPNW.
Well, no doubt about it. It has been a whirlwind of activity in Salem as bills are getting shoved through at night. Hearings are held at the spur of the moment, and this short legislative session has become, well, shall we just say, abnormally active. To talk a little bit about it this morning is John Charles. He is the president and CEO of Cascade Policy Institute. Deals a lot with his specific interest. Deals a lot with transportation, energy issues, and for a while, my understanding is, John, you also were kind of an environmental lobbyist of sorts.
Well, actually, I moved here in 1980.
Yeah.
When I was hired to run the Oregon Environmental Council, which is certainly one of the leading environmental lobby groups in the state, and I ran OEC from 1980 through 1996. I lobbied in every session of the legislature during those years. So, yeah, I've worked basically half my career in what you would say is the mainstream environmental field, and half my career working for a free market research center here at Cascade Policy Institute in Portland.
Okay.
Not exactly your normal career path.
No, actually, kind of an odd, and if we had more time, we'd get into it, but I want to get into the topic at hand. Let's talk a little bit about this green energy bill that was, I'm just going to say it was shoved through the legislature. I mean, can we get past this premise that there's anything particularly democratic about the process that we're going through in Salem right now? It was pretty much just rammed through, right?
Yes. In fact, the few public hearings that were held were irrelevant. They could have just dispensed with them. They could have just not even met. They could have just emailed their votes in and taken all their marching orders from the House Speaker, and you would have gotten the same outcome. I mean, the public participation has been a complete joke.
All right, this is arguably one of the more, if not the most, significant piece of energy legislation to happen in decades here in the state. And it is the expectation of many people, you included, that it is going to cost Oregonians, in terms of their energy bills, a significant amount of money, more than they would be paying were the bill never passed, correct?
Yes, it would be untold billions of dollars, and as of now, the utilities really have no way to comply with it anyway. The notion that by 2040, the utilities will have to procure 50% of their power from designated green power sources, most of which are unreliable, wind and solar, which all could, at the moment you need them, be producing zero output. That is a very, very expensive and probably impossible standard to meet.
All right, so let's just take and I'm just going to throw a name out there. Let's just take Pacific Power. And let's say that Pacific Power cannot meet this lofty goal of 50% energy production from renewable energy resources. What's going to happen to them? What does the bill say? Okay, this is going to be the ramifications if you don't do this by 2040.
Well, there are three basically escape hatches in the bill. One is that if in trying to do it, it becomes too expensive, which will be defined in the law as in any given year the cost is more than 3% of the total revenue for the utility in the state, then you can stop complying. Also, you can meet up to 20% of the compliance requirements with fake electricity called unbundled renewable energy certificates, where basically you just buy these fake things from some other producer and you pretend you actually bought the electricity, but you didn't. And then if in doing that you threaten the reliability of the grid, that is, the grid has to have exact equilibrium of electrons. Supply and demand have to be equal at all times.
Right.
If the unreliable and randomly failing wind farms that you have to increasingly use threaten reliability standards, the PUC can suspend compliance. So there are three opt-out or escape hatches in the bill, and I can already tell you that for PGE, even before this bill goes into effect, just in the 2016 through 2021 period under existing mandates, they're already forecasting that in 4 of the 5 years, their incremental costs will be above the 3% in the bill, and so they would be out of compliance 80% of the time. So really, the bill sets up all these bars for them to jump over, but it's kind of fake. It's an elaborate game, and utilities will just game the system. There will be costs, and at some point when the costs get too high, they'll be told you don't have to comply.
Okay, so in the meantime, and how can you enumerate how much this is going to cost the average ratepayer that, they're going out doing their thing, and every month they have to pay their utility bill? I mean, how much, has anybody done any referencing to figure out how much this could cost?
Well, anything going out to 2040, it's GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. So you could run 100 Excel spreadsheets, change the assumptions, and you get 100 different outputs. But I read PGE's official filing with the PUC for what they expect to be the incremental cost under current law. Current law is that by 2025, you stair-step up to 25% green power. This new law goes to 50% requirement by 2040. But just between 2016 and 2021, PGE is forecasting added costs of $438 million, for which ratepayers will pay that and get essentially zero social benefit. That's just a down payment. That's a tiny little cost. When you get out to 2030, 2035, 2040, it's billions, and no one can really tell you what that will be. But this is, for consumers, this is all pain, no gain.
All right, so the Public Utility Commission, which they are the ones that set rates, allow rates to go up, and so on and so forth, and are the overseers of, supposedly, of PGE, Pacific Power, consumers, all the rest of them. What did they say during the hearings for this bill?
Well, when they were finally allowed to show up, which was a couple of days ago, in the Senate side, Susan Ackerman, the chair, said this is going to be expensive, for consumers and ineffective in reaching the policy goal of reducing CO2. That even assumes that there are benefits to reducing carbon dioxide, which I would say that's probably not the case. But the PUC says this will be expensive and ineffective.
Expensive and ineffective, and the ratepayers are on the hook for it.
Yes, they are.
Why is hydropower not considered to be renewable? What's the real reason for that?
Well, the large main stem dams on the Columbia is what you're referring to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, certain things called lower impact hydro are considered renewable, or if you do upgrades, if you're a utility and you do an upgrade to an existing dam and you generate a little more power out of it, you can claim that. But to your point, the large dams that are iconic in the Northwest that have provided very cheap, reliable hydropower for years, the reason those are considered non-qualifying or non-renewable is because if it's Orwellian. You define the obvious in some other way. You say they're not renewable. Because back in 2007, when this first RPS was set up, the 25 by 25, if they had acknowledged that hydro is renewable, the standard would have been met instantly. Well, they don't want the standard met. They want a standard so high utilities can't meet it, and they have to build more wasteful and unreliable wind and solar plants and make the whole process more painful for consumers. That was the goal.
Why? Why is that a goal? What makes you believe that is a goal?
Because, look, I spent 20 years of my life in the environmental movement, and they believe that if you have a free-flowing if you have a free-flowing transportation system with very low congestion, people will drive a lot. They don't want you to drive. If you have electricity really cheap, you'll consume a lot of electricity. They don't want you to do that. It's a very moralistic, grim view of the world. They don't want you to do these things. They object to free people doing what free people like to do, which is run their own lives. So the goal here is to set standards that are actually not able to be met and make people spend lots of money just to do that. Power begets power. This is a power play.
All right, so who was behind, in the 2007 legislature, who was behind saying or creating this paradigm where a renewable resource, hydro, is not renewable?
Well, in the Senate side, it was Brad Avakian, chair of the Senate committee. On the House side, it was Jackie Dingfelder, chair of the House committee. Well, Jackie Dingfelder went to work for Mayor Hales in Portland, and Brad Avakian is now labor commissioner and running for Secretary of State. And they are very unapologetic in their belief that hydro should be declared non-renewable.
And what reasoning, what rationale did they give? I mean, what rationale? How do you explain away that hydro is not renewable? What rationale did they give for excluding that?
Look, it's Orwellian. So pick your explanation. It doesn't really matter. They're legislators. They can define anything they want. The law is the law. They have the gavel. They ram the bills through. The governor signs it. They pretend something is what it is. They don't need to explain it.
So,
but really, my point is what I said earlier. They didn't want people to comply, so they just take the obvious off the table, and they would probably defend it by saying, well, hydro causes fish problems and fish mortality, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, but the point is, if your goal is to reduce carbon dioxide because of some fear about climate change, whatever that means, then defining dams as not renewable is absurd on its face. Well, yes, welcome to the Oregon legislature. Things are absurd on their face frequently there. That's the way it works.
All right, so you've been in the legislature. When I say in the legislature, you've been at, and involved in the legislature for eons. Sorry.
Too much of almost all my adult life.
Yeah, your adult life. I mean, you've been there every legislative session in pretty much your adult life. What do you make of this legislative session in particular?
I would say this is a new low point in my experience. To take, we've only done this 1 month or 35-day session in even numbered years. We've only done this a couple times because the ballot measure to create annual sessions passed in 2012.
Yeah.
It used to be odd numbered years, unlimited sessions, and then even numbered years, no sessions. So now the 35-day session is supposed to be a cleanup session. Oh, you got to change a few words of some bill, or we need to tweak the budget. And you do a little tweaks here and there, and then you go home. Wow, they've hijacked the whole thing, and they're ramming through a massive, the highest minimum wage intrusion in the country, and this is the most significant energy bill in decades, and we're going to cram that through, in which you get 1 week in the House, you get 1 week in the Senate, then you cross over and you do it again, and most witnesses don't get to testify, or they get to testify for 1 or 2 minutes, and all their testimony is irrelevant, and because no sooner do they leave the seat than the gavel drops and the bill gets rammed through with no discussion. And that's just an amazing display of power. So all you can say is Senate President Peter Courtney and the House Speaker, Tina Kotek, and the governor have decided this is the way it's going to be. They're drunk on the power, and they're going to cram it down. And if you don't like it, that's just your problem.
What do you make of the emergency riders that are put on all of the bills?
That's always a joke. I've always thought that. Since the day I arrived here, I thought, what do you mean all these bills? So, well, this is an emergency. Given that this is an emergency, the bill immediately goes into effect. That should never happen. There's almost never a time the legislature passes something that's an emergency. But they do that to eliminate the ability for people to go out and collect signatures and challenge it on the ballot.
Wow. John Charles from Cascade Policy joining us on the Wake Up Call this morning. So it sounds to me, you sound like somebody that is just worn out by the system that they've been involved in. You sound demoralized, maybe? Is that a good word for it?
Well, I'm not really worn out. I'm very energetic, and I still get excited when they do things. Actually, one of the things they've done positively this session is to extend the deadline on of the law that allows you, if you have kids in a public school district and you want to transfer them to another public school district, and that district has open seats, and they allow you to transfer in, the district you're going to leave currently cannot veto your leaving, which used to be the case. So there was a 5-year pilot program to do that. The deadline is coming up, and the legislature is going to extend that program, which is very pro-family, pro-choice. And that has had bipartisan agreement, and I'm glad that has gone through. So I'm not really demoralized. I'm just kind of shocked, and I recognize that over a long period of time, the pendulum swings, and you see it all around the world, all through history. People get into positions of power. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And so right now you're in a position of the majority party feeling that they have absolute power. But it'll change. They will inevitably overreach. This session may be the beginning of the demise, and voters will impose some discipline, and things will change. So I think you just have to hunker down and get through the storm. That's my attitude now.
John Charles, he is the CEO of Cascade Policy Institute. John, we appreciate you joining us on the Wake Up Call this morning to chat about the issues with the green energy bill and also just the legislative session in general. Thanks for being with us on the Wake Up Call. It's News Radio 1120 KPNW.
I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Chris with Home Comfort. When we say the one to call,
the one means no matter what the problem.
From security lighting, generator systems, panel changeouts, service upgrades, with technicians available 24/7.
Or HVAC, from routine cleanings to breakdowns. Home Comfort's an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, so our highly skilled technicians will ready your house for any season.
Make one call to 541-345-2838.
Home Comfort, the one to call.
If you need to sell your home, listen up. Lars here to tell you about a real estate agent right in Lane County that takes the stress out of selling a home. I'm talking about Jeremy Parmenter of Keller Williams Realty. Jeremy has a marketing system for selling homes on a whole different level than anyone you're going to talk to in Lane County. Jeremy works with the top real estate developer in Oregon, and week after week, Jeremy attracts hundreds of buyers, which creates demand and helps your home sell fast and for top dollar. That's why Jeremy offers a home home sale guarantee. If Jeremy can't sell your home at a price and deadline you agreed to, he'll buy it. Plus, it's risk-free. If he isn't doing his job after one day, you can fire him. But don't worry, you won't, because he outsells the average agent 8-1. If I needed to sell my home and lived in Lane County, I'd call up Jeremy. Call Jeremy today at 541-255-5685. That's 541-255-5685. And start packing.
Fox News, fair and balanced. We report, you decide. On News Radio 1120 KPNW, Eugene, Springfield.
Fox News Radio, I'm Dave Anthony. Nevada is Donald Trump's third straight win. He got more votes and delegates than Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz combined.
Make America great again. We're going to do it, and it's going to happen fast. Thank you very much.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal live in Las Vegas.
And Dave, the polls said he would win here, and people here ahead of the caucus seem to believe it was Donald Trump's state to lose. But Marco Rubio, who came in second place, said he's looking at other polls.
The majority of Republican voters in this country do not want Donald Trump to be the nominee. I think that's been pretty clear now. The problem is that they're divided up among four people. So until there's some consolidation here, you're not going to have a clear alternative to Donald Trump.
Now, Ted Cruz, like Rubio, said it's on to Super Tuesday. The difference? Cruz notes he has at least shown he can beat Trump, which he did in Iowa, Dave.
Jessica Trump will campaign in Virginia next hour, looking ahead to the next week as Rubio and Cruz stump in Texas. Rick Perry was the first Republican to drop out of the race, but he has won a legal battle in Texas where an appeals court dismissed an abuse of power indictment against former Governor Perry. Democrats vote next vote in South Carolina Saturday. Bernie Sanders is optimistic.
Clinton's still in the lead. Her lead is narrower. We think we have momentum, and momentum is very important.
Some parts of the South are cleaning up storm damage. Fox's Evan Brown has this live.
Yeah, Dave, multiple tornadoes spiked the Gulf Coast, killing at least 3 and destroying hundreds of homes.
You're sitting in there 1 minute playing on the video game, next thing you know, your house is gone.
Michael Nelson lives in La Place, Louisiana, west of New Orleans. Another flattened a small apartment building in Pensacola, Florida, where Kevin Greer lives.
We're yelling to get downstairs, and the power goes out. We get blown back like 10 feet, and next thing we know, we're trapped underneath some debris and some drywall. I'm not actually sure where we were.
And the weather may be just as bad today. Conditions for tornadoes persist in the same areas, Dave.
Having a winter storm is hitting the Midwest. More than 1,000 flights canceled into and out of Chicago. On Wall Street, the Dow's down 198 points. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
This tip of the week brought to you by Neurospine Institute.
If you're a smoker, you already know that quitting will save you money and help you live longer. But did you know that it can make your back feel better? Smoking restricts the flow of oxygen and other nutrients in the spinal discs, making you more vulnerable to lower back pain. Smoking also increases the risk of osteoarthritis and other joint disorders that cause chronic pain in other parts of the body and decreases your body's ability to heal itself from illness or injury. Numerous studies return the same consistent results, and the evidence holds true for men and women, regardless of age or occupation. Stop smoking and your back will thank you.
Are you living with chronic pain? The specialists at Neurospine Institute can diagnose the problem and develop a personalized treatment plan to address your symptoms. Their comprehensive services include clinical and surgical procedures, sports medicine, physical therapy, medical imaging, and pain management. Neurospine Institute's medical professionals will work closely with your primary care or referring physician to ensure that you receive the best care and treatment. They serve all of Western Oregon with 2 locations, the main campus in Eugene and their Roseburg clinic. Visit neurospinellc.com today and get your life back.
President Obama says he's going to nominate a Supreme Court justice who's independent-minded and eminently qualified. And writing on SCOTUS blog today, perhaps life experiences outside the court. Not deterred by Senate Republicans who say they will not even consider his pick.
They won't give the eventual nominee the common courtesy of even a meeting. No hearings.
Angering Democratic leader Harry Reid, who adds this morning,
"This is historically unbelievable and historically unprecedented."
But House Republican Speaker Paul Ryan counters.
The Senate has every right not to act on a nominee. Both sides have rights here. And there is a precedence not acting on a nominee in the middle of a presidential election.
This is we learn more about Justice Antonin Scalia's health before he died.
Justice Scalia had a long list of health problems, including diabetes, coronary artery disease, and obesity, according to the Supreme Court's doctor, who said in a letter that the 79-year-old ailments led to his death. The district attorney in Presidio County, Texas, where the justice died, cited the doctor's report as a reason to rule out an autopsy. Scalia also had sleep apnea, degenerative joint disease, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and high blood pressure. He was also a smoker. In Washington, Rachel Sutherland, Fox News.
An apology to Muslims from the state of Minnesota.
The Minnesota Department of Public Safety says personalized license plates that read F Muslims should never have been issued. Plates that officials say they're revoking immediately.
Some people are disappointed, some people are angry.
Muslim activist Haji Youssef shared pictures of the plates on his Facebook page.
Everybody is talking about it. Somebody should have paid attention to it and asked questions.
Even Minnesota Governor Mark Dayton saying that he's appalled that the plates were issued to an unidentified man from Big Lake in central Minnesota by a state that's now reviewing how it issues personalized plates. In Chicago, Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
There's a new report on housing. New home sales plunged last month, down more than 9%. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News Radio.
News Radio 1120 KPNW 805, live and local from the Widmer Brothers studio here at the Bicoastal Radio Complex. You got the wake-up call with a little bit of cloud cover today. Hopefully an interchange with some sun. High about 60, cloudy and 39 coming up. But tonight, rain on Friday. 90% during the day, 100% at night. Got a situation 126, let's see, 52, milepost 52, which is 1 mile west of the Beltline interchange. Eastbound lanes affected by a disabled vehicle. So if you're coming eastbound, but you've got to, if you're going westbound, you've got to kind of keep your wits about you as well, because sometimes people just kind of panic and don't maybe make the best decision. So just again, milepost 52, 1 mile west of Beltline. Coming up, a little Umpqua dairy action.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're going to just talk about, another one of our little ice cream social things where we just come out to your place of work and dump a bunch of ice cream in your lap.
Any flavor in particular?
Maybe.
A little close to the vest on that one.
Maybe.
All right.
Maybe.
By the way, just in case you have not ever corresponded or communicated, you might have heard something in the last half hour that is prompting the urge to express 541-485-KPNW or statewide nationwide if you're streaming somewhere exotic, 888-KPNW.
Like Uruguay.
I was going to say Nimrod.
Well, that's
pretty exotic as well.
Yeah.
888-KPNW, 888, or 1120KPNW at gmail.com. If you're Uruguay or Nimrod, you might want to go the email route.
Jeff emails this morning, a point not often made, and we were talking about Apple earlier and discussing it with Lise Wheel, Fox News legal analyst, arguing it. Point not often made is that Apple, and he says this parenthetically, might be able to create this magic way into a phone to comply with a court order and not have it get out. Do you trust Samsung, LG, HTC, Huawei to do the same thing when their phones are subpoenaed? Android phones are made by dozens of manufacturers and account for almost 3 times more sales than iPhone when combined. Personally, I don't trust any of those makers to keep that backdoor safe.
It's a great point.
Yeah.
And who do you trust anymore? When you see the big boys that are, supposed to be the catalyst, who do you trust to be able to protect things?
I don't.
Right.
I mean, I don't. Which is why I'm such a, my son is always like, God, your cell phone, it's just like, you don't have anything on it. And you don't, and it's like, yeah, there's a reason for that. That's why
Because it doesn't run the battery down as
well. First, that's the big thing, is it doesn't run the battery. But the other thing is, I don't, I'm not going to be doing banking on my phone. I'm not going to be, paying bills on my phone. I'm not going to be going to Amazon and buying stuff on my phone. There's a lot of things I'm not going to do with my phone because I know that my Samsung smartphone already has a backdoor built into it. I already know that. It's already been outed in the tech press a number of times. They all do. Apple is like one of the few. And, it's one of those things. It's like the old saw. If you build it, they will come. Well, if you put in a door, people are going to use it. You put in a back door. Oh, we're only doing it once. Well, once that door is there, people are going to use it. And they're going to use it and use it and use it. And once you've created it, It's all a matter of okay, we're gonna just do this for you once. Well, the government's going to want to know how you did it, and they're going to figure out how you did it, and then they're going to do it themselves. One of our emailers wrote this morning that it wouldn't surprise them that they've already done it. That they have actually already hacked the phones.
KPNW, good morning.
Good morning.
Hey.
Let me give you an example.
Sure.
Okay. You have a Craigslist account?
I don't, but okay.
Okay. Craigslist account. You think that's your account, but it's not. It's Craigslist. You're just like a writer for him. Try to check out of that account. Same with your phone. You bought it, you paid for it, but you're really renting it. You don't really own it. They own it. They own the air.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you. What I found the email that I was looking at. It's my position that government has a way to do this, but it cannot be used in court without exposing our abilities, and that forcing Apple to do it is nothing more than the administration's need to fight terrorism in the courts, without regard to handling the government or handing the government the keys, or this getting into the public domain. It's a head scratcher why Apple won't just give the data on the phone. I think he's right. That's actually pretty good. They've already done it, but they don't want anyone to know that they've already done it. Anyway, if you want to get an email to us this morning about that, or about John Charles and this whole issue of the legislature and essentially, it's not representative government in Salem. Email us 1120kpnw@gmail.com. You can always call us. We've got live and local news coming up in just a matter of moments, brought to you by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones, here on KPNW.
Catering has kind of a bad connotation. Limited menus, black ties, and uptown prices for essentially midtown food. Burrito Amigos offers catering without the pretenses. Let's just call it amigoing. When you want amigoing, you can have anything on the menu from delicious shrimp burritos to yummy tacos, from chili verde enchiladas to spicy tamales, and the whole menu is yours. Plus, they'll do special foods for folks with dietary restrictions. Really. As a matter of fact, it's so low-key, you can call the cashier at Burrito Amigos and order 50 burritos anytime with no advance notice, and it'll be ready in about 10 to 15 minutes. For bigger orders, give Larry a call and get your catering, amigoing, on the fast track. They take care of groups up to 500, and you get the equipment to keep it warm for no extra charge. No ties, no hassle, no big catering bills. That's amigoing. Burrito Amigos. Amigoing for schools, businesses, clubs, offices, weddings, and more. I'm Bill London, Burrito Amigos' biggest fan, and I love making up new words. In Eugene and Springfield, Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones.
Built for business. Comcast Business is offering 25 megabits per second internet from $69.95 a month. That means if you're still using slow DSL from the phone company, you have a decision to make. Do you switch to Comcast Business and get more speed for faster downloads, or stick with slow DSL and watch your business stutter from slow speeds? Do you get internet that stays fast when other people are online, or keep using slow DSL and have your employees struggle with lag time? The choice is yours. Switch to Comcast Business and get 25 megabits per second of fast, reliable internet from just $69.95 a month. Or stick with slow DSL and get slower speeds and more downtime at work. Make the smarter choice. Ditch slow DSL and switch today. Call 800-501-6000 or visit ComcastBusiness.com. Comcast Business. Built for business.
Offer ends 3/31/16. Restrictions apply. 2-year contract and subscription to Comcast Business Voice and Business TV required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra.
It happens once in a lifetime, and it is happening right now at Creative Clock on Conger.
It's the big happenings in the Valley and the state. This is the Wake Up Call on 1120 KPNW with Bill London.
This live and local look at the news brought to you by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones, featuring great breakfast burritos and fresh brewed, locally roasted coffee for a tasty start to your morning. Here's what's going on. Well, the state is trying to appeal a case where a state police officer kicked a Eugene motorcyclist in the chest, breaking bones. A jury found that Captain Robert Edwards was wrong and negligent in kicking Justin Wilkins in the chest during a traffic stop.
The jury awarded Wilkins $180,000 in the negligence trial for the kick that broke Wilkins' clavicle and rib. They also found that Edwards acted with negligence when his police car rear-ended Wilkins' motorcycle seconds before the savage kick. State Department of Justice attorneys last week filed a notice of appeal with the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. No grounds were stated in that notice. After the verdict, though, the state police did release a statement saying that, quote, in situations like these, officers have milliseconds to make what may be life or death decisions, and those officers should be shielded from the liability of civil damages. Should be noted that Wilkins had his hands up and was not carrying a weapon. The key evidence in the case was the video taken by Edwards' patrol car camera showing him roughing up Wilkins. The Oregon House passed the Tracktown USA hotel tax yesterday on a relatively narrow 37-20 vote. 36 yes votes were needed to pass. The bill now heads to the House. House Bill 4146 would increase the state's 1% lodging tax and charge extra on campsite stays and short-term rentals. The increase sets the tax now at 1.8%. The increase essentially will put $25 million in the pocket of Tracktown USA to be going towards the 2021 World and Track and Field Championships that will be held in Eugene. Tracktown USA is hosting that event. Lawmakers, at the urging of Governor Brown, earlier said that they would let Travel Oregon independently decide where that extra money would go, effectively allowing lawmakers to wash their hands of cronyism when the money is allocated to Tracktown. Now, Travel Oregon has never spent money on projects not related to marketing. Generally, they give small grants, like $5,000 and $10,000 grants to be used for marketing. As for the makeup of Travel Oregon, well, the governing board is made up of political appointees, all put in their positions by, wait for it, oh yeah, Governor Brown. And for the record, Governor Brown has said that she supports the subsidy and lodging tax increase. I wonder if the money will go to Tracktown. Angry Portland residents addressed lawmakers yesterday during a fiery and informational hearing on air pollution. Brad Ford has that story.
Two glass companies have been emitting potentially cancer-causing heavy metals into the air for years. Residents who live nearby, like Sarah Livingstone, says it has made her and her neighbors sick.
Oregonians deserve to breathe air that does not make us sick.
The DEQ says there's a gap between federal rules controlling large industry and smaller businesses like the glass companies that also cause pollution. Tom Wood with Associated Oregon Industries says DEQ has rules in place to manage small industrial pollution.
DEQ is really hamstrung if they can't go out there and be operating the monitors that are needed to be able to detect whether a site-specific risk assessment is necessary.
Wood says DEQ needs adequate funding from the legislature to monitor pollution hotspots and control the problem. I'm Brad Ford, KPNW.
Well, sudden rent increases would be a thing of the past under a bill that passed Tuesday through the Oregon House. It bars any rent increases for the first year of a month-to-month tenancy. After that, landlords would have to give 90 days notice of an increase. Democratic co-sponsor Chris Gorsuch says it also increases the notice for no-cause evictions from 30 to 90 days.
This bill provides precious time for families and seniors to plan better.
Republican Cliff Bentz objected to the one-year moratorium on increases without any evidence that it will spur construction of more rentals to ease the crisis.
But if you have an economic analysis that says this is going to cause all kinds of money to pour into this state to build more units, let's hear about it. Until then, I'm going to be a no vote.
He was in the minority. The bill now moves to the Senate. The Oregon Senate has passed a bill that allows medical and recreational marijuana shops to exist as one. Brad Ford reports Republicans say Democrats are violating the Constitution.
Most medical marijuana shops say they'll turn recreational if they have to choose one or the other. This bill allows them to do both. Senator Jenny Burdick says patients will still be able to get medical marijuana.
The patient can continue to work with their chosen grower or dispensary as they have in the past.
Senator Ted Ferrioli supports the bill.
The bill supplies a solution for those who wish to serve both the medical and the recreational populations.
But he and other Republicans voted against it because it includes an emergency clause and affects revenue, and that's against the state constitution. Democrats say a judge can decide and eliminate the emergency clause if necessary. Brad Ford, KPNW.
That bill, by the way, now moves to the House. Well, the minimum wage is going up, courtesy of the House, the Senate, and, of course, Governor Brown. And many local food producers, that's farmers, ranchers, and food processors, are not happy.
You know, farmers and ranchers are very adaptable and are used to overcoming challenges, but this is pretty darn grim.
And Marie Moss with the Oregon Farm Bureau says the first hike is coming in July. The minimum wage will jump to $9.75 in urban areas, $9.50 in rural areas.
So we're really concerned that a lot of farms won't be able to absorb the higher minimum wage and will have to possibly mechanize, which means that jobs would be lost, or change to a less labor-intensive crop.
The effects on existing deals may cut deep.
You know, many farms already have their crops contracted for 2016, so they're going to have to start paying a higher minimum wage while having their prices already set. So just from the start, it's going to be very difficult for some of these small farms to sustain this.
It's clear that the Oregon agricultural community is already planning for the worst. FBI personnel say they've completed the evidence collection process at an Oregon wildlife refuge following a 41-day standoff. The FBI said Tuesday that they have turned control of the facility near Burns over to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Officials say it'll remain closed until further notice. Government prosecutors also filed a motion Tuesday to push back the trial dates for those arrested following the standoff. Prosecutors want a federal judge to deem the case complex, citing the large number of defendants and other issues, which would likely send the case well into 2017 before it ever gets in front of a jury. Defense attorney Lisa Hay filed a document opposing those efforts. Standoff leader Ammon Bundy and 15 others are scheduled to be arraigned today on a conspiracy charge. Prosecutors say a superseding indictment with additional charges could be filed next month. The Oregon Department of Transportation is being sued for not making all of its sidewalk crossings compliant with the Americans with Disabilities Act. Brad Ford follows up on the story.
The group filing the lawsuit says ODOT is working too slow to make sidewalks with ramps that are ADA compliant. Attorney Stephen Bruschetto says ODOT needs to dedicate more money to solving the problem.
ODOT has a multi-billion-dollar budget, and as recently as 2011, its budget for dealing with curb ramps was $200,000.
The lawsuit cites locations around the state, including Clatskanie, Roseburg, Bend, and Portland.
We want to see an aggressive push to get these curb ramps addressed so that people can be safe and so that they can access their communities.
ODOT says they are working with the group to make the necessary changes, but Bruschetto says the work wasn't happening fast enough, and the lawsuit will force ODOT to speed up the timetable. I'm Brad Ford, KPNW.
Amtrak Cascades is now allowing pets in limited numbers and with restrictions on its trips. And yes, we're talking about pets like small cats and dogs. They're going to be allowed onto trains for a $25 fee. And it's not really a new thing because service animals have already been allowed. But now Aunt Betsy and her yippy Pomeranian will be able to yip it up in an entire train car.
You know, we're gonna see what kind of feedback we get from passengers. The pets that meet the qualifications will only be allowed in one coach car number 4, and so all the pets will be together in one coach car, and there will be a maximum of 5 of these pets per train.
Shelley Snow with ODOT says pet reservations will be accepted for travel beginning March 7th and can only be made with a reservation. It's for small animals only. They've got to weigh under 20 pounds. Pets are not allowed on trips to, say, Canada and can't be booked on trips lasting longer than 7 hours. So rides to the Great White North for maple syrup and ice fishing will be pet-free. Thank you, Amtrak. Thank you, ODOT. Oregon Senator Ron Wyden is taking the sweeping opioid epidemic to Congress. Wyden says the Finance Committee now has the opportunity to develop fresh policies, and it's time to step up. Senator Wyden says folks are paying for a distorted set of priorities.
Americans are getting hooked on opioids. There's not enough treatment, and enforcement is falling short.
He says, as it is, policymakers feel the need to choose between one of two solutions: One of those is tough enforcement.
Which means cracking down on pill mills, fraudsters bilking Medicare and Medicaid with unneeded prescriptions, and unscrupulous abusers doctor shopping for the next bottles of pills.
He says the other is more social services. Wyden says he believes three things actually need to work in tandem: better prevention, better treatment, and better enforcement. Lynn Benton Community College ramped up security Tuesday after being the target of a bomb threat Monday night. Albany police received the call from a computer-generated voice Monday around 6 p.m. The caller said there would be a bomb at Lynn Benton Community College on Tuesday. They didn't specify a time or which LBCC location. Police ultimately decided it was not a credible threat. The Albany police also said that schools on the East Coast received similar messages Monday night. Police still haven't been able to trace the caller, and they said the case is still under investigation. The daughter-in-law of Nike co-founder Bill Bowerman has pleaded guilty to sexual abuse for having a relationship with a 17-year-old boy on the track team that she coached in Central Oregon. 45-year-old Melissa Bowerman was sentenced to 5 years on probation. During probation, her internet usage is going to be restricted, and she's not allowed to contact males under the age of 18 except for family members. A violation could land her in prison for up to a year and a half. She's also going to have to register as a sex offender. Bowerman did not make a statement at her hearing. Her attorney, Stephen Howes, says therapy has been very valuable for Bowerman. He says she had a previously undiagnosed mental health condition. The former Madras High coach spent 26 days in jail following her July 2014 arrest. Well, it's a big event for Lane County, and it's an annual event. It's coming up again, the 78th Annual Oregon Logging Conference. It kicks off Thursday, runs Friday, and then with the promise of the education and discussion that the logging industry has grown to expect from this particular event. Then on Saturday, they pretty much open the doors for the general public.
And for the public, Saturday it's open free to the public, and that would be the day that they can come in and see the latest technology and equipment. And in the Wheeler Pavilion, we have a family fun and education exhibit.
OLC Director Ricky Wellman says this includes a high school forestry skills competition. The latest tech in cable-assisted logging is also going to be on display, along with a ton of equipment and speakers to boot. The conference runs from Thursday through Saturday. The logging equipment show is free to the public, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Saturday. All happens at the Lane County Fairgrounds. Your live and local news brought to you by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones. It's 826 News Radio 1120 KPNW.
Wake Up Call Sports on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
Blazers are on point and on fire after the All-Star game, coming back to take out Golden State. No small task. Utah, and last night was Brooklyn, bound down to the Blazers, 112-104. Damian Lillard, C.J. McCollum, your leading scorers, a pair of 34s. Trailblazers are tied with Dallas for 6th in the Western Conference. Lillard's 34, by the way, moves him back past Zach Randolph for 14th on the franchise all-time scoring list. He's got 6,234. Boy, not the advertising Hilton wished for. Cleveland's Kyrie Irving stayed at the Skirvin Hilton Hotel and apparently spent the entire night. On that night, fending off bed bugs. Ended up missing all but 9 minutes of the game the next day with flu-like symptoms. Northwest Christian women down Corbin at the Cascade Conference basketball tournament, 68-56. Prep ladies, a monumental game for North Eugene, who are playing the 5th-ranked Marist Spartans. Beat them last month. Just like that, the Highlanders down 9. Things did not look good for the team off of River Road. Coach Burdett and company fight and claw back into the game and end up winning it 48-36. Next up for the Highlanders, Crater. Reedsport High grad Monica Vaughn will represent the U.S. on the Curtis Cup golf team, the most prestigious amateur women's golf team out there. They'll take on teams from Great Britain and Ireland. She's the first Oregon golfer on the Curtis Cup team since 1974, when Eugene's Mary Budke did it. Vaughn plays for Arizona State, where she finished 5th at last year's NC2A Championships. By the way, coming up in May, the NC2A Championships from the Eugene Country Club. Wake Up Call Sports, live and local on KPNW News Time, 829.
KPNW weather with Chris Nation. Brought to you by Mattress Mania, where you save like crazy.
Good morning to you and yours. If you're headed out that door in the next few minutes, we've got patchy dense fog off and on. I expect that to burn off over the next couple of hours, as well as a few sprinkles, but no real accumulation. We've got temps in the upper 30s to low 40s out there, with light winds out of the southeast at 0 to 5. This afternoon, we're looking at the mostly cloudy skies, becoming partly cloudy for a little bit, but don't expect a whole lot of sunshine. High pressure over most of the state is keeping the storm systems away. That means highs will shoot back into the mid to upper 50s in most locations as winds shift south at 5 to 10. This high pressure that's given us fairly dry and nice weather looks to shift east over the next couple of days, and that means the storm systems out over the water will finally reach us Friday evening with an 80% chance of showers and about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch of rain. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation in the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a fantastic day.
Want to lose weight? Then turn your body into a furnace that literally melts the fat away. That's exactly what Thermometer does. Thermometer is uniquely formulated with patented ingredients like bitter orange, brown seaweed, and decaffeinated green tea. Their combined thermogenic properties boost up your metabolism and turn up the heat in your body so you melt the fat away without any jittery side effects. Thermometer is not available in stores. It's only available to listeners of this station. We're giving away 100 free bottles right now to anyone who enrolls in our special trial offer. Call now for your risk-free trial offer. 800-430-4467, 800-430-4467, 800-430-4467. One more time, 800-430-4467.
Gunrunner Arms is celebrating 3 years of business in Junction City, supplying local residents with firearms and related products. February 27th, help Gunrunners celebrate and meet reps from Nikon. Enter a raffle to win a $250 gift card from Gunrunners, courtesy of the Oregon Firearms Federation. Also, you can donate your lightly used items for the annual Mid-Valley Habitat for Humanity yard sale. Plus, Liberty Safes are on sale. Nikon optics are 10% off, and Mountain House Foods are 20% sale price. Sale items limited to stock on hand. Gunrunner Arms at the intersection of Highway 99 and 36 in Junction City.
As a young teenage boy, I didn't even know what autism was. How do you even spell that? A few years later, I heard that a friend's cousin's son had been diagnosed with autism.
I still wasn't sure what that really meant.
When I went to college, my roommate's brother had autism. When I moved to the city for work, my best friend called me and told me his son had been diagnosed with autism. We were both in shock. I still remember the day I walked into the house and saw that look on my wife's face. I knew something was wrong. I'll never forget how I felt when she said, "Our son has autism."
Autism is getting closer to home. Today, 1 in 110 children is diagnosed with autism. That's a 600% increase in the last 20 years. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Hi, Mike here with some info on West Eugene. Did you know there are over 400 businesses on West 6th, 7th, and 11th? Yeah, 400. And lots of them are there to help you care for your furry friends. Whether your pet needs a bath, a trim, a treat, or a toy, or even that necessary operation, you'll find the right place for all your pet's needs on West 6th, 7th, and 11th in Eugene. Hear that? That's my buddy. He's saying it's time for a new toy. Go West, pet lovers. Go West.
The Wake Up Call with Holloway in London on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
832 News Radio 1120 KPNW. Again, the email address 1120kpnw@gmail.com or 541-485-KPNW. Works out to be 5769. 1-888-KPNW-888. You'll talk to our producer and then our call screener, and then you'll be shoved over to intern Carson, and then finally onto the airwaves. So you'll talk to a series of people, but you will make it to the air. Cloudy right now and 50 degrees. Looks like our situation out there, 126 near the lake, out there 1 mile west of Beltline. It has been resolved. So everybody, travel accordingly and have a safe adventure wherever you're headed.
Take extra care, whatever you're doing. Please do that. Okay, so Just got this thing. There it is. Just got this from EPD. That would be Eugene Police Department for the uninitiated. And anyway, I guess they got a call on the 19th, which was a couple of days ago, from a 21-year-old woman, lives on Mill Street, in an apartment. And she awoke at about 4:50 in the morning to discover that she was not alone in the room, even though she thought she was. And turned out that this individual, whom she did not know, a man, was stroking her leg. Obviously, the woman was upset, as one would be. She threatened the guy with pepper spray. The guy took off, described as a black male in his 20s, wearing a black or blue baseball cap, red long-sleeve shirt or jacket, and blue jeans. That's interesting. That is, I think, the same description, including the red long-sleeve shirt, as the guy that was going into jewelry stores. The victim was not available for contact, they say, at the time of the reports, and they're continuing to investigate. And they say, again, please remember to lock your doors. Apparently, I'm inferring from this that she didn't have her doors locked. So, anyway, just know that that's a good idea to lock the doors at night. This is Eugene.
Good thing she had some pepper spray handy, or at least thought of using the threat.
Yeah. By the way, we talked about, was this last week that we brought up the thing about the bear spray? About instead of using pepper spray, use bear spray because it's pepper spray on steroids. It turns out that you can do that, but it's actually considered a dangerous weapon. So if you're going to carry it concealed, you actually have to have, and I know this sounds crazy, you actually have to have a concealed carry license for the stuff. It is considered to be on a level of a deadly weapon, although I've never heard of anybody dying from it, and it seems kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, but how much have you researched it?
Well, okay, there is that. You've got a great point there, my friend. So anyway, if you're gonna do that, just know that. And a couple of people, and the reason that we know this is because a couple of people emailed us. One lady in particular had it in her car, was sitting there on the seat, and the cop was just like, just so you know, because she apparently it was kind of illegal the way that it was covered up and so on. And anyway. He noticed.
You talking about the one that moved from Montana?
Yeah,
yeah.
And he didn't hassle her about it. It was just, by the way, just so you know, that's handled differently than normal pepper spray.
KPNW, good morning.
Hey.
Good morning.
How are you?
I think that might be a state-by-state basis.
Yeah, I'm sure it probably is. In Oregon, that's the way that it is. Where are you from?
I'm in Eugene, but Oregon, our licenses say concealed handgun license, specifically for handguns. And I mean, so it doesn't give you any other privileges with like different knives or collapsible batons or anything like that. So that just sounds fishy to me. I would want to do some more research on that.
Okay, good point. Thanks for calling in.
You got it. Talk to you
right,
later.
You take care. Well, maybe it's something you just can't carry concealed at all. Hi, KPNW.
Hi.
Hi.
Wasp spray. I have been told to keep...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I know that sounds funny. I've been told keep wasp spray by your doors. And because it will shoot like 25 feet for one thing.
Right.
And you shoot that in someone's face. You don't have to have any kind of permits for it or anything. It's a common household thing, and it'll take care of the problem.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thanks. That's right. When in doubt, hit them with pesticide. That would definitely take the steam out of your sails. Somebody spraying you in the face with wasp.
Have you seen some of the propulsion that?
Oh yeah,
it comes out?
I've used the stuff. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, oh yeah, it puts the stream out there. Well, for good reason, because you're spraying it at wasps and you don't want to get stung. So yeah, it's shooting a stream out there, whatever is 30 or 40 feet. Sure.
So if we're going to go that direction, do you remember when we were talking about?
What,
I think I went on the air. We were talking
Roundup.
about the
spray them with Roundup.
We were talking about the yellow jackets that we had, like kind of in the backyard, the yard next to us, and there was a guy coming in with a hazmat, and somebody actually talked about, and I think it was using some kind of some kind of fire charge, and then you know what I'm talking about, where I'm trying to think of what you use to spray to exert the flame, but apparently it turns into like this huge torch. And that's like...
Well, I know that Go
ahead.
I'm not going to say... Well, okay.
Not that you've ever done it, but you heard.
Okay. So it used to be, and I don't know if this is the case or not, because somebody told me that they did something to it, but maybe not. There was a time in my life when I used to like to strafe G.I. Joe with WD-40 and a lighter. It was... We were trying to do realistic kind of stuff with... your action figures.
But why doesn't G.I. Joe get to do it to his enemies? Why does he get it?
Well, because G.I. Joe just happened to be the one that was in the garden in the trench. So anyway, I know that used to be an adequate flamethrower. Not that I'm suggesting you do that, but I can just say that there was a time when WD-40 worked well in that capacity.
That might end a trespassing. Something of that magnitude.
Yeah, okay.
All right, let's change the subject exponentially.
All right, so we do this once a month, courtesy of Umpqua Dairy. We do we bring ice cream out to your place of work for, up to 15 people, okay? And this month, the flavor of the month is birthday cake. That's interesting. I don't think I've ever tried that one. You've tried that? Have you tried the birthday cake?
No.
Or is it just because it was your birthday?
It's my birthday,
and
so
you
I was
turned
thinking,
50.
Yeah.
Half century. So anyway, if you want to get your business into it, and this can be a home business, this can be an office, this can be whatever, in the Eugene-Springfield area, just simply email us, 1120kpnw@gmail.com. On the subject line, just put something about either Umpqua ice cream or just ice cream party or Umpqua Dairy, just something that denotes bring me free ice cream. All right? And then tomorrow, we'll do a little drawing, and somebody's going to get some goodness. And by the way, we'll deliver it prior to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So be thinking about that. But
what day?
Thursday. So this coming Thursday.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, as in tomorrow. Anyway, get us the emails in. And if you've emailed us before, you're already in the kitty, so you don't need to send us another one. But anyway, if you're not, this is your chance to do it. 1120kpnw@gmail.com. Next month, pistachio month. And then caramel cone in April, and May is Rocky Road, my favorite. Umpqua's Rocky Road is the best. It has real marshmallows in it and actual chunks of almond. Stuff's great. Anyway, get them to us, 1120kpnw@gmail.com. It's 8:42 News Radio, 1120 KPNW.
It's the latest wake-up call market news. This is the KPNW Business Report.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. Oil ministers from Iran and Saudi Arabia signaled that they are unwilling to cut production. That is putting pressure on oil prices. As a result, we are seeing stocks fall for a second day. We are tracking Avis Budget this morning after the car rental company forecast 2016 earnings that trailed estimates. The company is spending more to improve customers' experience. However, Target posting holiday sales growth that topped analyst estimates, boosted by a surge in online orders. However, Target got more aggressive with holiday holiday discounts this past season, aiming to take market share from Walmart. Etsy, the online marketplace for unique and small batch goods, jumping after reporting revenue that beat analysts' average estimates. The company was boosted by a strong holiday season also. And move over Kentucky bourbon Irish whiskey is taking hold in the U.S. Jameson's is using its Caskmates product, aged in stout seasoned oak barrels, to tap into demand for younger drinkers for small batch booze. That's according to Sanford C. Bernstein. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
Hi, this is Bill London, and I can tell you from experience, dealing with a realtor can be a trying experience. Trying to sell my mom and dad's house recently, I would have liked to have had a realtor who up front would have told me not necessarily what I wanted to hear, but what I needed to hear. Like, for instance, that we really did need to put a new roof on the house. Otherwise, we were going to get beaten down on the price, and some other things as well. Well, Eric Harpole is one of those realtors. He won't tell you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear to get the most out of your house.
I think when you sit down with Eric or anybody from his team, it's quickly apparent. I mean, they're serious, they know real estate, and they're not into filling the air with things that aren't true. Whether you're buying or selling or even thinking about doing either of those two, call the Harpole team at 541-286-3030. It will be the most refreshing conversation you ever had with a realtor. The Harpole Real Estate Group is changing the way real estate gets done here locally. 541-286-3030.
The News Radio 1120 KPNW Cool 99.1 Spring Auction is set for March 12th, and your business can seize the day. Call the Bicoastal Media professionals to learn how we can highlight your business during our auction, and you can get the benefits from a radio commercial campaign, all on trade. Call now, 541-284-3600 to learn more.
The Eugene area radio stations will be presenting two $3,000 scholarships through Oregon Student Access and Completion. Each scholarship will go to one high school student and one college student who demonstrate a desire and aptitude for radio sales, engineering, news, or programming. Click on the Resources tab at eugeneradio.gov for details. Application deadline is February 15th, with final paperwork due at OregonStudentAid.gov by March 1st. The Eugene area radio stations, EARS, support students and education in our communities.
Not available in California.
Listeners, do you have startup capital and want to invest in a booming business with incredible profit and growth potential? The opportunity is now, because Fresh Healthy Vending, the #1 healthy vending franchise in North America, is looking for a few business-savvy, healthy-minded people right here in the local area to become Fresh Healthy Vending franchise owners. We're growing so fast that we've had hundreds of new franchise owners in the last few years alone. Now you can join them. This area has a huge demand for fresh, healthy, organic snacks on the go, and that's exactly what you'll be selling with your Fresh Healthy Vending machines. We've already identified prime, high-traffic locations that are perfect for healthy vending machines. Now we just need the right people to join our franchise network and help Fresh Healthy Vending continue to boom. If this sounds like you, go to ReadyForFresh.com today and enter code 3434. We'll send you a free owner information kit. As an added bonus to new franchise owners, we'll also pay half the franchise fees. Hurry, this offer is limited. Just go to ReadyForFresh.com and enter code 3434. That's ReadyForFresh.com 3434.
We're all part of your community.
We all play a role in keeping our community safe. So protect your every day.
If you see something suspicious, say something to local authorities.
Weather every 10 minutes during the wake-up call. Count on it. News Radio 1120 KPNW.
Good morning. If you're headed out that door in the next few minutes, or you're already out there, we're seeing light rain off and on, but no real accumulation. We've also got patchy, dense fog. I expect that to burn off in the next couple of hours. Otherwise, mostly cloudy skies. Temps right now in the upper 30s to low 40s, with light winds out of the southeast at 0 to 5. This afternoon, we're looking at the mostly cloudy skies becoming partly cloudy. No real shot at rain as high pressure continues to dominate over the region, and highs will be on the warmer side, back in the mid to upper 50s across most locations. The next chance at rain looks to be Friday night, as the high pressure that's keeping things fairly dry looks to shift inland. That'll bring the showers back with a quarter to a half inch, but between now and then, fairly nice conditions. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation in the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a fantastic day.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, it is my profound pleasure to introduce
The Wake Up Call on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
News Radio 1120 KPNW, 848, 12 away from 9 o'clock. I kind of thought we were going to get a little bit more response from John Charles, the conversation that we had with him, where in it we talked about the whole idea that we don't in this state recognize hydropower
as renewable.
As renewable.
Yeah, because the legislature said so. Not because of science, not because of anything other than they didn't want to, and in particular, current Labor Commissioner Brad Avakian.
Well, he was one half of the party,
right?
The team, and I think maybe after having Sydney, after having having a daughter, an offspring, somebody that you're very conscious about things being taught and right and wrong, and just being diplomatic but truthful. And you sit there and you go, how are people allowing this to happen? I mean, it's almost like you kind of give them like in Louisiana, we did give government officials, you just give them a pat. Oh, well, that's like, it's a frat party going on. And yet they're dictating what you do in your state. And the same thing is going on here, where
I don't think that anybody is paying attention. I honestly believe that only about maybe, and I'm tossing a number out here, but maybe 20% of the general populace is really active in following what happens politically.
Active, too high.
Really? You think that 20% is too high?
Yeah.
Active I'm thinking, between both parties, between Democrats and Republicans, or if you will, liberals and conservatives, because they don't always self-identify as a political party, and others. I mean, I don't know. I would figure it would be 20. Maybe you're right. Maybe it is less. Maybe it's 10%. But still, I think because you have a small number of people that are actively engaged in it and give a crap. That would be my guess.
If you had the same setup that you have for Girl Scout cookies, and you had kids at tables outside of public, storefronts, and just to quiz them and ask them, do you actually know what's going on? And to have the kids kind of, well, so do you know what's going on in this field where they weren't intimidated?
You're wondering what people would say?
I think people would have little or no, and I think you'd go, okay, so maybe 20% was high. Maybe it's more like 15%.
We need to find ourselves a Girl Scout. We need to get
and give her a microphone.
Give her a microphone and find a Girl Scout. Set her up down. Well, you can't set her up at a mall because they don't like that. But you need to set her up someplace very public, like maybe the farmers market,
and with parentals close by.
Well, yeah, we're just not going to send a little kid. Wouldn't be sending little kids out into the community down to the WIT.
The email is at like 10 o'clock at night.
Right.
Yeah.
With a flashlight though and a whistle. Okay. Here, Sarah, you go down there. Man, you talk to nice people on the street for us.
And I'm not even talking about a party per se. I'm just saying people in general. I wonder what it would take. Like, what do you have to do to get them to care about what's going on in their own state? I mean, what's going to be happening to business? And I'm formulating in my head, having some small business owners in to kind of talk about it. Either what they've done, what they will do, are people going to be leaving? Are they going to be closing up shop, laying off people? I mean, what are you going to do to survive and stay in business?
I'm going to just take a slight diversion from that particular topic. And it was about what I was talking to you earlier this morning. So, because the whole idea of the minimum wage and increasing it, and this is more than just, we're just going to increase it 50 cents or something. I mean, we're talking about dollars going from $9.25 to, $14.50 an hour. And by the way, just because the legislature passed the minimum wage bill, which is going to go into place over the course of a number of years, that initiative petition to just change it to $15 statewide, okay, that's still going forward. That's still going forward. So we've had a number of places that have increased the minimum wage dramatically. Seattle, the area around SeaTac was the first one, and San Francisco. And so if you go trying to find information about what it's really done, You find a lot of anecdotal stuff, like, for instance, and we talked about it a while ago, the bookstore down in San Francisco that said, we can't afford it, we got to go out of business. We've been here for a long time, and we just can't do it, and it's the minimum wage. You hear that, and you hear anecdotally, but, on a more macro scale, what has it done? And I noticed a definitive lack of anything, with the exception of some data that came out of the Seattle area dealing with restaurant employment. And that if you compared it to restaurant employment outside of Seattle, in Washington, compared to what was happening in Seattle, there were a bunch of restaurant jobs that were lost. And I found that in several different areas, enough so that I kind of deemed it as being, okay, this seems to be on the up and up, and nobody that necessarily had an axe to grind. But that's about the only thing that I found. And so I reached out to Phil Romero, who has shown up on the show a number of times. The guy was the president of the U of O Business School, the Cal Business School. He was the chief economic advisor for the state of California for a number of years. And we converse on email about different things. And I said, why is it that you folks, this is the way I worded it to him. I said, I'm somewhat surprised the economist class hasn't been watching this closer, seeing as how they've been more than willing to chime in on what they think the possible effects are going to be, negative and positive. It's not like San Francisco, Seattle, and SeaTac aren't available for economists to obsess over. Which I think that's reasonable. And it was interesting, he sent me, and I don't think that he would be angry with me for revealing this. So he sends me this email, and he goes, we are too heavily trained in theory, and only a subset pay much attention to real-world data. I mentioned to a celebrated macroeconomist a particular major event that I thought had earth-shattering implications. He didn't even know that it had happened. And then his second explanation was, he goes, in their defense, most of us spend our time on things we get paid for. Well, that makes sense. A dive into whatever my consulting client wants at the moment. Few clients spend money on minimum wage, so they only follow it casually. This is probably true with about 95% of economists.
95?
Well, that was his, kind of roundabout way of looking at it. And you would think that somebody would really dig into it, and I'm surprised that no one has. Anyway, that'll be a discussion for another day. That's pretty much a wrap for us. It's 8:56. Again, if you haven't emailed us yet, you want to get your office into the Umpqua Dairy Ice Cream Social, where we deliver ice cream for up to 15 people in your office tomorrow. And by the way, this month's his birthday cake ice cream, but it'll be other ice cream too. Make sure you email us 1120kpnw@gmail.com. Subject line, Umpqua ice cream party, something.
See you tomorrow,
that says
6:05. Bye.
I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Chris with Home Comfort. When we say the one to call,
the one means no matter what the problem.
From security lighting, generator systems, panel changeouts, service upgrades, with technicians available 24/7.
Or HVAC, from routine cleanings to breakdowns. Home Comfort's locally supported by Mitsubishi Electric. So their Mitsubishi Electric factory-trained technicians will ready your house for any season.
Make one call to 541-345-2838.
Home Comfort, the one to call.
If you need to sell your home, listen up. Lars here to tell you about a real estate agent right in Lane County that takes the stress out of selling a home. I'm talking about Jeremy Parmenter of Keller Williams Realty. Jeremy has a marketing system for selling homes on a whole different level than anyone you're going to talk to in Lane County. Jeremy works with the top real estate developer in Oregon, and week after week, Jeremy attracts hundreds of buyers, which creates demand and helps your home sell fast and for top dollar. That's why Jeremy offers a home sale guarantee. If Jeremy can't sell your home at a price and deadline you agreed to, he'll buy it. Plus, it's risk-free. If he isn't doing his job after one day, you can fire him. But don't worry, you won't, because he outsells the average agent 8-1. If I needed to sell my home and lived in Lane County, I'd call up Jeremy. Call Jeremy today at 541-255-5685. That's 541-255-5685. And start packing.
When you think fishing or firearms, think Mazama.
Local, family-owned Mazama is your firearms headquarters and home to the Build an AR wall. Custom build an AR with all your favorite parts. They are Lane County's only CZ dealer, and they have a large selection of shotguns, rifles, handguns, and scopes with free bore sighting.
Team Mazama is eager and knowledgeable. They offer gun safety and concealed carry classes. Conveniently located on West 11th in the same parking lot as Lowe's. Get to Mazama and get hooked on the good life.
When you think fishing or firearms, think Mazama.
This is a referral service. Calls will be routed to an independent referral insurance agency. Do you know the number one cause of bankruptcy? No, it's not losing your job or running up credit card debt. It's not even divorce. It's medical costs. If you and your family don't have health insurance, just one serious illness or accident could be financially devastating. But now there's good news, really good news. A health insurance hotline has been established to provide health insurance for all Americans, even uninsured Americans with pre-existing